Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening.
I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph. It is 9:49 p.m.
Mountain time.
Whatever.
It's 10:49 Central.
And you know they call this place where I live.
Mm-hmm.
They call it. Well, I don't technically live in Denver. I live outside Denver, but
yeah,
10 minutes away. Whatever. Denver adjacent.
The
Mile High City.
Oh yeah, I'll bet you it's perhaps a little more than a mile high on 420.
That's right, good sir. It is 420 today.
Yeah.
Hitler's birthday.
Right. Well, this was I remember when I was teaching, anytime you would let any kid write an argumentative essay, if you didn't give them real clear guidelines, they would all either write a paper against abortion or in favor of legalizing marijuana. And all of them pointed to Colorado. There's one year when Colorado was like the first state to really make recreational marijuana legal. And God, man, the kids, all of them brought up the miracle of Colorado in their essays, in their very poorly written, illogical, cut straight out of Wikipedia.
Growing everywhere, man. Selling weed at 7-Eleven, weed Slurpees.
Right.
I'll tell you this: I've lived here now for over a month, and I'll be honest, I've not partaken in the local crops.
Right.
I'm a little nervous. I feel like there's a lot of pressure because I was telling my wife about this. I'm like, there's all these like cannabis shops,
right?
And it's like IPAs. There's like so many strains now,
right?
And I'd be like, oh, if you want this or if you want that, and it's like, kind of want the simplicity of back in the day, where you just bought a bag of skunk weed from your shitty friend's like cousin. You know what I mean? Like,
do you have
the lack of choice actually? The idea of buying weed raises my anxiety level.
Yeah, you can't exactly ask for the seeds, pocket lint, and mulch varietal.
The oregano shaving, the pencil shavings. But there's just it seems like a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I can handle it.
I'm sure there's like a monthly club, like a box club or something.
Yeah. Jelly of the Month Club.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say it would be. I think the difference between like having a beer or something like that is that like those are pretty consistent and standard and relatively short-lived and stuff like that. I would be, in my experience, like a chewable or something like that. Like you don't know if you're gonna like be affected for like 6 hours or I mean that seems like a lot to
it's also a bigger investment. Like a beer's like $5, $6, $7 for like a good beer.
Yeah.
Well, like I don't know. I haven't bought it in a long time. We're talking like 50 probably on average to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just think like again, I haven't be honest, I haven't smoked in a long time. But like I just find it really funny though that the fact that it's legal here.
Yeah.
And that there's a bunch of shops. I just find it like that I would feel pressure and stressed on what the right one to get. You know what I mean? It's like going to a restaurant and you're looking at the menu and there's like 5 or 6 items you're teetering towards, and then you end up getting the worst one. And then you see the guy next to you in the restaurant, he's eating the thing you were gonna get, and it's so much better.
You're stuck with the fucking pork medallions and he's got the pork chop.
Yeah, why the fuck did I get that shit?
It's a medallion. What is it? What part of the body is a medallion?
Pork medallions. Yeah, what part of the pig? Surely a magical animal. Yeah, I always found that funny.
Right.
Who came up with that pork coins?
Yeah. Well,
Susan B. Anthony.
I do know what you mean, because like when I was out, I went to Las Vegas a few times over the last few years when it's been legal, and they'll have there must be some laws where you can't sell it in a casino or something. But anyway, a lot of these places have like a marijuana dispensary as you end, like prior to entering the casino, and you just look in the window and it's like 900 containers, and each one is slightly different, and it would be very overwhelming. That's why I mostly stick with veterinary drugs and Russian bath salts, because if you're
yeah, horse tranquilizers does the job just fine.
Yes.
And Russian bath salts is great. I love seeing the inside of my bones.
Right. Yeah.
You ever seen that? You ever like Google, like, remember when like bath salts started doing this thing and you would see people with like exposed bone, and I'm like, how are they alive?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's
like, how is they functioning? That's like
very few of them developed COVID though.
Even just a slightly open cut could lead to a massive infection.
I know, right?
Like, it's
like I get a paper cut, and unless I Bactine it immediately, it's like bright red the next morning. And stuff.
Yeah, and painful. It's like, imagine having like it's ham on the bone or something. Look at like these people walk around through Crockville with like fucking like they're zombies, literally.
Yeah, well, that's that. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's probably some sort of like, I don't know.
You know what? I'll have to hire like a guru or something. You know, like get a consultant, and when I become a millionaire first, and
right. Yes.
I need to mellow a bit, do a little mellowing, and I'll get some weed guy.
Weed concierge.
Yeah, you need to try the take a little sniff of this. Oh, skunk.
Yeah, it would be. Look, I'm all for the legalization of. I'm 100% for the decriminalization of a lot of these drugs. 100% for legalization of recreational marijuana or and stuff like that. I just don't know if it's my thing. Like my like that I'm going to particularly be a big personal fan of it. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like.
Like I said, I just think the idea of going to one of those places is very stressful, which is kind of funny because it's supposed to be a thing that's supposed to
mellow you out. Yeah.
And instead, it would just like raise my anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, why did they get the purple horseshoe? I could have gotten the Cocoa Puff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm even talking about. It's like, yeah, it's a smoky taste. I'm like, yeah, what's a smoky taste?
I will say though that I would not smoke marijuana. I don't think I smoked cigarettes
like a cigarette.
Yeah, well, I smoked cigarettes for a number of years.
It's from Arrested Development.
Oh yeah,
I was like, right, I smoke like a cigarette.
Well, I just know like I couldn't that would be like I would quickly want to smoke cigarettes again, which is like the last thing.
I got you.
Because I it was tough to quit, and I quit like a long time ago, but I still think about it occasionally.
That smoking, once you start smoking them doobies, it'll lead to them.
That's what they say.
One
is too many, and 1,000 is never enough. That's the expression.
Like Doritos.
Yeah, actually, it's a lot like Doritos. Come to think of it.
Yep. I think what's his face said that. Well, yeah, I think I've said that. I think Ozzy said the hardest thing to break was like cigarettes or something.
Oh yeah,
you can get them they're not as common as they used to be.
No, I just saw a statistic the other day. When I was a kid, it was like 25% of Americans smoked, and now it's like 9%.
I can't believe it's still that high.
Well,
with everything, with all the information that's out on them, I'm just shocked that it's 9.
Yeah,
and how much they cost too.
All like 8 of the 9% live in like Kentucky and West Virginia. I mean, like there's like 3 or 4 tobacco producing states that like don't tax it, and cigarettes are dirt cheap, and smoking still welcomed everywhere. It is. If you look at a map, like it's not like 9% of the people in every state smoke. It's like not like 20% of the people in the tobacco belt smoke.
It's
and
in
like
specific locations.
Yeah.
Because they cater to them a little more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, what are we talking about this week, Joseph?
We got a good list. We got a lot of pop culture stuff at first. We're going to talk about the Batman, which I finally saw. It's on HBO Max.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, I saw it, a couple when I first moved here.
Yeah.
And it was already out like a week or two. But yeah, the other day, like Monday or something, I put it on and it was like the Batman's out on. I didn't watch it again because I didn't have 12 hours to dedicate.
Yeah, it's a long one. I wound up watching it in like 2 doses. So
okay, what else? Yeah, go ahead.
You finished season 2 of For All Mankind.
Yep, so I'm caught up.
So we can talk about that.
Yep.
We may or may not talk about The Dropout. You finished The Dropout.
Yeah,
right?
the last episode. I don't know. I mean, there's not much to really say. We could probably let's see what else we'll talk about. Maybe we'll talk about The Dropout first, and whatever. Just get it out of the way.
And we're gonna talk about the latest episode of Moon Knight, which
episode 4.
Yeah, I literally just saw like half hour ago.
Yep.
And I liked it very much. I thought it was the best episode of the season so far.
Yeah, it was good.
And then we're going to talk about some political news stuff. Ron DeSantis and Ted Cruz have declared war on Disney.
Ted Cruz was made claims that Disney has makes porn that they put on Disney Plus of like Mickey fucking getting it on with Pluto. Yeah, and I don't know what he's watching.
Yeah, right. He may want to clear
his
cash.
A gross little man, and it wouldn't shock me if he has like access to stuff we don't.
Clown porn. Clown porn aficionado. We're going to talk about the Department of Justice appealing a ruling from a Trump judge yesterday, declaring that
woman that never served on anything.
She just looks like a moron. She's a 35-year-old.
Let's save it for the.
We're talking about Greg Abbott's border excursion.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if we'll have a ton to say about it, but Elon Musk's bid to buy Twitter went nowhere, which is kind of interesting.
What a shock! Like almost everything that he announces ends up just sucks up attention, and then it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, he is like a Twitter. He's a Twitter personality. That's like Twitter in a nutshell.
We'll talk about it later, but just to get some up real quick, I think he's the new Trump for Twitter.
Yeah,
I think he has successfully taken the role that Trump did. I think he filled that vacuum.
I think that's true. I think he filled
the vacuum.
Let's save
that for when we get to it because I have some theories about it.
And then we're going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene having to testify on Friday.
Yeah, I'm really curious how that's going to go.
Apparently, they're going to like televise it and shit. And that's going to be.
Yeah, she was like freaking out about that or something.
Yeah, she's real worried about it. That is fraught with peril for her because we'll talk about that when we talk about that. That'll be very interesting. That'll be a good place to wind up. So anyway, you want to just talk briefly about The Dropout real quick?
Well, I mean, we talked about it. If you listen to the last couple episodes, we went into a little bit more about it. This was the last episode. At this point, everything was fully revealed that was a scam. Never went anywhere. She's facing charges. I find it interesting though that the series aired around at the same time her sentencing was supposed to happen.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Did she have her sentencing yet?
No, she's getting sentenced in like a month.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'll say this. At first, I was like, oh no, maybe this show's going to make her out to be good. But I'll say those last couple episodes definitely made her into a villain.
Yeah.
Kind of just like a thoughtless, they imply that there's something about her, like she definitely falls under the spectrum in some way.
Yeah, in some way, for sure.
I don't think it's fair to say like, oh, she's like this because she's like has Asperger's or something. No. I think she's a sociopath. I think she's I think she's more a sociopath and kind of like, I mean, like, what's the word? Like, she has no real, doesn't really care how people feel.
Yeah. Well, I think she doesn't, and again, you're right. It's hard. You got to differentiate it from like autism or Asperger's, where people may have difficulty like identifying emotions in others. You know, like I can't tell if this person is kidding or not, or if they're mad, or subtle things like that. Like she I don't think she.
Well, I would say that she falls under the spectrum, but like everyone kind of falls under the spectrum in some way.
Well, that's why it's a spectrum. That's why
I don't think she's like what people think Rain Man is. I don't think it's like that. I think she just falls under in the way a bit that makes her a little more awkward in some ways. Because she created that character. Like it's a character. The way they implied it.
Like, right.
Like she didn't dress like that normally. She was kind of frumpy and like didn't like her hair wasn't like that. Like the way she spoke, that was like, I mean, her voice was like a little different, but not like that, where she's like, like that weird voice that she constructed for her business identity.
I think there were two scenes to me that like summed her up. And the first was, remember when she went to go get her Apple phone upgraded, and the cashier, the genius at the Apple bar.
Genius? I know it sounds like an insult. That genius at the bar.
She accidentally wiped her phone, and Elizabeth was like, you this is your life. It must be so nice to be you and not to have any goals and not to want to be anyone but a cashier at an Apple bar or whatever.
Well, I think if somebody wiped out my phone, I'd probably be a little meaner than her.
Well, no, but like it seemed real genuine. Like Elizabeth was like, "That's so weird. You don't have goals. What is that?"
Like, like it wasn't like an insult.
No.
Like, does she not realize? Like, she doesn't realize she's insulting a person. Like, I would realize. Like, I'd be like, "You are a fucking idiot." Like, I'm going to kill you.
Elizabeth was just like, and she didn't even really seem that mad or anything. She's just like, "That's so weird that you don't have ambition or goals," and it was like that part was more like painting her as kind of innocent. But the other part that I thought like clearly showed her as a villain is when that guy killed himself or died or whatever, the British chemist
character.
Yeah. And she immediately said, "Well, this isn't my fault." And by saying that, she immediately recognizes like, "Oh, well, this was a shitty thing to do. Some people might think it's my fault." Someone who's truly like spectrum or whatever wouldn't think that. They would just be like, "Oh, he died. Okay." And it wouldn't even dawn on them that like,
well, that's why I said, I think it's like she on appearance would, I think, especially when they show when she's like younger and stuff, that she would fall under in some way. I'm not saying that she has like a severe case or anything. It's more like just, she's a little awkward.
Yeah.
But that last scene in the end, when
the Uber,
that woman who's like her lawyer or whatever, and like she considers her a friend or something. And she's like, "I don't work for you anymore. Like you like totally fucked us. You fucked everybody." And then like when she leaves and you see her by herself by the car or whatever, she's just like screaming, like psychotically screaming. Yeah. And then a car pulls up and then she just like turns that off immediately. Yep. And well, like, "Hi, I'm Lily or something."
Lizzie, yeah. And Lizzie. It's weird because like I'm
just Lizzie.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
I created this decade-long scam, and people's lives were ruined. Some people died on the way.
Yeah.
Some credible names got completely fucking destroyed. Promises unkept.
Families destroyed. People killed.
Listen, me and my new boyfriend, we're going on vacation, and it's time to have a little fun.
Well, she just had a kid too.
Just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird because like in the last episode they show her with her new boyfriend. You only see him for like a second. Like I don't feel bad for the guy that she was with. I still feel like he kind of groomed her a little bit. I know that word has been ruined.
Right, yeah.
Don't you think the Republicans ruined the word groomer so that people, when real groomers like Matt Gates who are facing like actual that
Well, I
word
guess
will
we've said,
lose its meaning.
yeah, we've said this before. That's an actual thing that people do, is that they groom victims. It's usually
Yeah.
like a teacher or a priest or something like that.
But this guy kind of did that a little bit to her.
Yeah.
But I feel like she kind of fucked him over big time.
Oh yeah, there's that one great scene where he thought he was going to get her. He was basically like, I've been looking through our text messages over the years, and he's basically telling her, I've saved everything, I can prove everything. And Elizabeth's like, you saved all our text messages, what are you doing here? Are you trying to like? And then she like basically got rid of him, and she's like, well, you need to leave. And he didn't expect that. Like she it was like when the servant becomes the master,
I think it's also, it just showed that she really doesn't have feelings for people. Like she's a sociopath.
Yeah.
I think they established that. I mean, most of these people usually are. But I think the one thing that's crazy about this whole dropout thing, and I hope it doesn't get lost on the attention, is that like, she didn't come out of nowhere. Like, she isn't like this complete wonder kid that came from nothing. She had all those connections.
Yeah, she came from an Enron family. She
had access to wealth and people.
Yeah,
and maybe like they show in the beginning where the dad's having a hard time because the shitty company he worked for, screwed people over and did some real criminal shit.
Right.
You just like, you're supposed to sympathize with them and stuff. It's like, you're working for Enron.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I mean, like, if you didn't know the Enron story, it would have seemed like a pretty sympathetic moment, to be honest. I mean, it sounded,
I don't know, you said he was a higher up, right? He wasn't just some like worker who got fucked. He was
he was like one of the vice presidents or something.
So he probably was aware of all the shenanigans they were doing.
If he didn't, then he was incompetent. Like, with what Enron was doing, if you were involved in Enron, you should have realized, hey, something doesn't add up here. I mean, like that, unless you're willfully ignorant, you should have realized.
Right. So, I mean, most people don't have access to, who was that guy? The guy from Law and Order was playing.
Yeah, not Kissinger, George Schultz.
Yeah, people don't have access to George Schultz.
No.
Like, people don't have access to get people like former Reagan advisor. Yeah. Right. George Schultz. Like,
no, it's crazy.
So I hope people, when they watch this, and realize too, this girl, like, she had access to all these different people in society. Most people do not get to come in and create a company and everything like that. But man, a lot of people, like I said, it's kind of fucked up, because it's like if you look at the story, the whole Theranos thing, it was just around the time where like people were like really talking about healthcare, and like, before Obamacare went in, and like this would be a thing that would help tag team with Obamacare and make things better. And it was just a big scam.
Wow.
And some people might even say Obamacare's a little bit of that too.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
well, I
always found it funny with Obamacare, because it was like, why do these people, like, why do the Republicans hate it so much with the insurance companies? It was the biggest gift to insurance companies. You had to get insurance.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I will say though that the Dropout it's definitely worth watching. It goes by pretty quickly. I liked it a lot. It was fun. It wasn't as fun as Inventing Anna.
Well, Inventing Anna is like she was more of a character,
right?
Voice,
her. It had better music. It had better shot locations. It was a more fun production.
It wasn't stuffy. Most of it wasn't stuffy, like business meetings and.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just thought like the whole thing was crazy. I don't feel after watching it and seeing her, especially in those last couple episodes, I have no sympathy for her at all.
Oh yeah, me neither. She's a villain. She's a bad guy.
I think she's a bad guy, and I think she's just, and honestly, I think she represents what, like, I don't think her case is unique. I think it goes on today in lots of different ways. There's a lot of con people. I would say Elon Musk kind of falls into there.
Yeah.
Constantly making promises of like a better future, but really just cashing in and not really delivering.
Yeah, not delivering.
I mean, that's really it. I mean, she promised this thing, and it's just crazy though that they knew. See, the most insane thing about the whole thing, I don't want to talk about too much more, but like right from the start, they knew the thing didn't fucking work.
Right.
And they had these people working there all day, but it's like really what they had them doing was like making fake samples.
Yeah.
Which is that's what's even more fucked up. They were taking samples and fucking with them to make it look like the machine worked or something, right? Weren't they like
them
or something?
The basic idea and what happened in real life is that they would run the machines for some samples, they would run it through other machines.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Another licensed company, they were using it. And
they would just take a hit financially on that because they got all this investor money coming in, you know, and it worked out pretty well. And I think the way it worked is that they had all these different teams and they worked in a big office with different floors and you weren't allowed in different areas.
Yeah, which is like that movie. I mean, that shows Severance in a way.
Right. Everyone
you could not go in different departments.
Yep.
They had security everywhere.
And they even told some people, like, look, we just do this. The real work gets done in there. So they had no reason to be suspicious. They thought real work was being done elsewhere, you know? And the people that were doing the real work were all like non-disclosed and stuff like that. And they each probably had a job and they didn't know no one knew the whole story except like Sonny and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
They were the only ones with every piece of the puzzle. So like you could clock in, go to work, and people would be like, what'd you do? Well, I just ran tests and they all failed because we're working on this one element, you know, but the real stuff's getting done elsewhere. Everything's fine. My little that's why I have a job, because I'm trying to hammer out these kinks.
Yeah, the funny thing too is like how they would keep going through like managers or something like that. And the best was the last guy.
Yeah.
Who I've seen in lots of things. He was the comics book store owner in Big Bang Theory.
Oh, okay.
The guy who worked in the comic book store. That guy's great. And I love that they must have paid him like shit because he was talking about how he gets extra money to like donate for samples.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, the security thing was the other crazy thing.
Yeah.
Constant. And her walking around with the security. It was like, I mean, this whole thing is just. Yeah. That's the other fucked up thing. Last thing to talk about was, and this, I think it's unfair, though. It's not fair because this is bullshit, but like I said, it actually hurt women.
Oh, yeah.
To become CEOs after. They had to make sure they didn't have blonde hair.
Yep.
If they were blonde, they dyed it. They had to like change their look. It hurt. Yeah. It's insane. Like why this one woman hurts all these other women. Yeah. And they even talked about that earlier. I remember the one character, William H. Macy's character, said she's pretty. That's why. But like, they said that like it makes these older people feel good. They think like they're doing something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, some people like, oh, I voted for Obama, so therefore, I'm not racist anymore. You know, it's like one of those things. But like she, like all these like ex-Reagan people is like, oh, I'm backing this young female CEO with this company. Like I'm a better person now. And she's using that grievance of like women suffering.
Jeez.
I mean, I don't think she probably gave too much thought into that, but it just sucks though that because of her, it hurt other women into like achieving, you know, to be scumbag CEOs.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I will say this. If anyone ever says if there's one group of people that have the most privilege in this country, not the world, is white men, because a white male could come in and kill 1,000 people in a mall.
Yeah.
No one would ever say afterwards, man, we need to like kind of keep our eye on some of these white men.
Yeah. Which
is crazy because most of the time
it often is. Yeah.
But if it's like a person of color, or if it's a woman, or if it's some all of a sudden everyone is represented by this one awful person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
but it
true.
sucks. I think she came around this, her whole thing, or like post-Bush grievances of like sick and tired of the 8 years of Bush and like this idea like with Obama and this better future for tomorrow.
Yeah.
She came in, she kind of like suckered people. Like she came at the right time.
She really did. And I don't think she set out
At
to
the
like
wrong time.
exploit that. I think it just kind of worked out that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she thought, oh, because I am this way, I'm going to do A, B, and C. I think she was just a sociopath.
No, I
And
don't think
if-
she, but I guarantee you the people that were backed her probably thought that.
Yes. But if she tried that in the 1960s, it probably wouldn't have worked. And I don't know that it would work now, but you're right. She came in at the right time, right place for her particular shtick. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Well, speaking of shticks,
the Batman. I finally saw the Batman.
I don't know how that's a shtick, but what did you think?
Look, I loved it. I thought it was really great. I thought Robert Pattinson was fantastic as that particular Batman, that version of Batman.
What I find interesting about that movie is that it makes me think of like they made a biopic about Batman.
Yeah.
And it takes place. No, seriously. It's
Yeah,
like, you know, like you ever heard of the movie Ali?
yeah.
Like the Will Smith one?
Yes.
You know, pre-Slapgate.
Right.
Well, what's interesting, I don't even know if I've seen it. I just know about it, but I know that like they only do a couple years of his life. They don't do like a full on. It's only like it's like a certain moments in his lifetime. And sometimes those are the better biopics.
Yeah,
because
I
you
agree.
can tell a better story. You're not trying to shove in everything, and you know, it's like you could just get a good story. And I felt like with this, it's like, okay, this is Batman's like second year.
Yep.
He's in a weird like what's the word? Like he doesn't know what he's gonna do next. Like he's like losing his own personal identity as Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is like, that's why I like this movie. It was interesting is that this is the first movie where it's like you actually get Batman.
Oh, it's a lot of
entire
Batman.
film. Like usually the joke is if you watch those other movies, like Dark Knight Rises, Batman himself, the character's in it for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was a long ass movie, you know?
Yeah.
Like the fact that Robert Pattinson, who's an actor, but like the joke was a lot of these actors, like they don't want to be under a mask the entire time. They don't want to, like, it's funny, even when you watch like Marvel movies, like Spider-Man, for example, fucking kid plays him.
Yeah.
They only got the mask on for like maybe 10 minutes in the end of the day. And then they just go, and the mask always like comes off super easily.
Yeah.
You know,
and with Iron Man, even when Iron Man has the mask on, they go like under the mask so that you see inside.
Yep, exactly. But what I found interesting is that he's only like Bruce Wayne in this movie for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
And he doesn't really do anything as Bruce Wayne.
And it's like I said, because you see him, he writes in his journal, and that's the thing with Alfred's like basically telling him, like, you know, don't succumb. You know, you don't want to lose yourself. So it's interesting. It's like he's been doing this for like over a year now.
Yep.
And it's like it's stressing him. He doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't have Batmite yet. He doesn't have the dog yet, the detective dog that has bat ears. He doesn't have the fifth Robin yet.
Doesn't have that giant Tyrannosaurus skeleton.
Yeah, the dime or the quarter or whatever it is.
None of those classic elements.
Joker card yet. You know, we haven't gotten there yet. I kind of hope, man, they do a sequel and they jump like 5 years and he has the dinosaur.
That would be fucking awesome.
Come on, do it. Fucking do it. I'm so sick of this gritty shit.
Yeah.
Do it. Fucking give me. I want a blue and gray outfit. You can make it look cool. Like brighten up the fucking screen, man.
Well, and the joke was, I heard this very often, that the joke was this is a very dark movie, and it was legitimately real dark.
But there's a lot of daytime shots too.
There's daytime shots, and
I like some of the sunset shots. I thought those were cool.
Yep.
I like the ending when he's freeing the people, like he's helping them.
Yeah.
And just the way he just looked great. He looked like, I thought he was one of the best, like the way the costume looked.
Yeah.
I love the way
he moved in the costume. Was great.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about this movie, which they never really did, was the detective aspect, or like the crime scene, and he walks in.
Yep.
And it's just like all the cops are just like, oh, what the fuck?
Right.
And it's the way he looks and the way he walks in, and it's like, oh, like he's the detective.
It's
and
like Sherlock Holmes, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. That I felt like that's something that they never really did in the movies ever. I thought that was really good. I feel like there's aspects. They introduced a lot of elements, but like, come on, I wouldn't mind the second movie. Let's just get a little more. I'm not saying complicated, but like bring in more of those fucking elements.
Yeah.
Like bring in Robin. Like, don't be fucking scared. You can get a 15-year-old kid in there. Just do it right.
Yeah.
You gotta get. It's like all these people. I always think these are fucking people. They get these people who never read the fucking comic, who never watched even the animated series, which is one of the best cartoons ever made. I mean, it could be done. They just don't. They get these people and they're like, oh, that's cheesy. Like they just like all they think of is Batman dancing. Like,
the Batusi.
They can't get out of that. It blows my mind to this day. Like when the first Batman movie came out in 1989, which still had like a ton of comic book elements when you looked at it. Like the Joker wore a purple outfit. Like, he was the Joker. I mean, it was mostly just Jack Nicholson and makeup, but he was the Joker. And Batman, you know, his costume was dark, but it still felt like, you know, the car and everything. But like the whole goal was to make people forget. Because back then in 1989, if you asked the average person, they still thought of that TV show.
That show was still on every night at 11 p.m.
And they said, I remember reading about it and all that. These fucking executives were like, that's what people think of with Batman. And the goal of the Tim Burton movie was to get that out of your mind and stop thinking of that.
Well,
it's not Batman. Batman has like insane villains and is violent and like dark, mature stories. About,
I don't know.
Like,
I wouldn't
the dinosaur in the cave.
I wouldn't mind seeing a second Batman like this one, with this Batman and maybe featuring the Joker or someone else like that. I would also like to see another Batman like the one you're describing, like a more.
No, I want that one to be that. I don't want another one. I want them to take that and say, okay, guess what? In the past couple of years, Batman's got his costume down. He's brightened up his colors like a little bit. Like the villains are also a little bit more like. I'm not expecting Cesar Romero.
Right.
I'm saying like
a shark repellent on his utility belt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, porpoise spray. Yeah. No, like that's the problem. It's like everyone has to go to these fucking extremes, and it's like, dude, you can bring these elements in and not make it corny as shit.
Right.
MCU does it all the fucking time, and they nail it.
Yeah.
They nail it. It's like so weird. They have these properties and they're so scared of them. And it's like, it's because you hire people who don't know, who are not comic people.
Well, did you see?
If you ask them, they'd probably be like, I watched like Superman once when I was a kid.
Did you see over the last couple of days on Twitter, they've been talking about DC trying to find their version of Paul Feige?
Kevin Feige?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Kevin Feige. I had a friend in middle school named Paul Feige. So
Paul Pfeiffer from Wonder Years.
Well, I mean, like, I think that's what they need, is that they do need some sort of cohesive
conjure approach. That guy up out of nowhere.
No,
the joke about Kevin Feige was he worked with Marvel for decades.
But he knew the properties. Right. That's the difference, is he knew the properties. He
not just that. He worked on the first Spider-Man movie with Sam Raimi.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, you know, there's 10 years of Marvel, of like big budget Marvel movies before Iron Man even comes out.
Yeah, true.
Starting with Blade. And Kevin Feige was involved in some way. And even right from the start, Kevin Feige did, like, once Iron Man came out, it wasn't like he was the head of this.
Right.
It wasn't until like Avengers or like Captain America, Winter Soldier, that you start really hearing the name Kevin Feige.
True.
Where like now it's like he's this like.
Well, DC is supposedly trying to find.
Yeah, but they just can't. You can't conjure that. There is an organic. Like, he was organic. He came with. If they hire somebody, who just has some credentials or whatever, but has never worked on any DC properties, something like that, it's gonna be a fucking disaster from the start. And that's the problem. You cannot. They just need to do their own thing. Make good movies that people want to see. And if they have connective tissue, like, don't like, you know what I mean? If they have connective tissue, then you can make them.
Sure.
Also, I don't know, do psychological tests on some of your stars. You hear about that Ezra Miller guy?
Oh, that's so sad. Yeah.
It's fucking weird. I don't want to say anything about him because I don't really know much about it. I know that like a year or two ago, he like choked some fan. I don't know if it was like exaggerated or not, if he really hurt this person.
Wow.
I have no idea. But then there's all kinds of other weird shit.
He's been arrested twice in the last week. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's the star of The Flash, which actually, from what I heard, actually looks really good. And is supposed to, here's the funny thing, that's supposed to be the thing that's supposed to like reset the DC universe.
Well, I'll tell you,
And
he was
the
great
guy.
in
I mean,
Justice
imagine
League.
if like Tom Holland was like a complete fuck up.
Yeah. God.
I'm telling you, I don't know what they do. I don't know what Disney does to these actors to keep them in bay. I mean, they had some weird shit with like some of the anti-vaxxer shit, like during the summer, with like
for a lot of them, they probably just pull them aside and show them like George Lucas's bank account statement,
or they say
like,
they call them aside and they say, these are your parents.
Yeah,
and that you will never see them again until you finish your 5-10 year contract. If you do anything outside, if you tweet anything, say anything, do anything, you all your family will be gone.
Yeah, I don't know.
They give them drugs. And I don't know. I mean, it just sucks. I mean, I want to see that Flash movie. Michael Keaton is in it.
Yeah. It's supposed to set up the multiverse. Yeah.
Yeah, like it looks sick. I hope it comes out. I hope he gets his shit together. But there's rumors of them like wanting to go back and reshoot everything and get rid of him, which would be insane. Yeah. I mean, is it that bad? Just do a Poochie in the end. You watch the whole movie. You watch the whole entire movie and it's great. And then you just take a scene.
Well, aren't there different Flashes?
And you pull up and he goes, I have to go back to my planet. And then you recast him.
Yeah. Well, I liked the Batman a whole bunch.
Yeah, I liked it too. I just want to see I just want a more did you ever watch Gotham?
No, let me take it back. I watched like a handful of episodes.
Okay. It was the weirdest show.
Yeah.
But man, what they did with whatever budget they had, they were able to get the costumes and they did such a good job. Some people were talking church, dude, people were like, dude, this was on Fox. It looks great for what it was. It looks better than half the movies they released. And I'm like, you can do that. Do I like the Riddler looking like the Zodiac killer? I mean, I think the one thing I like about the Riddler in this though was that you don't really see him that much. He's he's in those videos.
Yeah.
Of him going, oh!
Yeah.
He's looking at the camera. Oh!
I'm not a cat.
What?
I'm not a cat.
Yeah, you always see him at the coffee shop.
Yeah. And in the prison.
And the prison. And he's going, oh! Sounding like fucking Buffalo Bill from
Sounds
from yeah, he totally did. Okay, I just want to talk about this one thing. You said that you saw some article where someone compared him to Trump.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the dumbest thing I ever heard. But
I think I think maybe I probably didn't articulate that well. It was basically saying that the part of the movie towards the end where the Riddler was kind of gathering an online group of trolls, that like QAnon people and stuff like that. And he was basically saying that the Joker was leveraging distrust in the government and stuff like that to violently attack the government. And the parallels aren't perfect because obviously Trump was a president and the Joker was a criminal, and Trump had every advantage.
We talk about Riddler or Joker?
I'm sorry, Riddler. Trump had every advantage in the world and the Riddler really didn't. There's
not at all. What I liked about the Riddler is they talk about one, there's the whole key story about orphans and and there's this whole this government program that Thomas Wayne kind of kicked in, and unfortunately he was killed, so you never really got to see.
Right.
And this thing was around for 2 decades or something like that after his death, or it was supposed to be around for decades.
Yeah.
And then you find out the whole thing's bullshit, And all these people loved it in the government because they were collecting money and they were going to like basically the club and getting drugs. There was that
Right.
Skarsgård guy.
Yeah.
Skarsgård, what's his name?
It's not Peter Skarsgård, is it? It's
he was in that skit on Saint Live where they were pirates and they were going Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Probably the most smartest skit they ever did.
Yeah.
He was like he was like basically abusing this program, and all the
Right.
money never actually made it into anything. And that's why there was that one mayor who was running. It was like, I want to destroy it. The woman who was running, the Bernie.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
AOC Bernie. And you find out the horror stories of the orphanage and everything. And from what I gathered is that he obviously was, they showed the picture and he was one of the victims / orphans of this. So
Right.
he was the product of this, having nothing, you know, like, yeah, we're both orphans, but like you were left with every resource in the world. You were the son, you know, the child of billionaires. You had Alfred, you know,
Yeah.
you had something. This kid didn't have shit.
Anything, right.
Anything. And from what I gathered was some of his other guys were people from the orphanage.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I thought that's what they were implying, that some of these other people that kind of dressed like the Riddler in the end too, with when they flooded.
Yeah.
Which the whole flooding thing, I don't know. I feel like that didn't translate too well. Like he broke like the reservoir or something.
Yeah, it did. That just sort of came out of the blue, and I don't know why they needed.
It's interesting because like that's a similar plot to Batman Begins.
Yeah.
The plot is like the reservoir was going
Right.
to explode, but Batman stops it. But in the comics, there was a storyline literally called like 0 Year, and it was supposed to be like Batman's first year. And
Okay.
the main villain is the Riddler in the storyline, and the Riddler floods Gotham.
Huh.
So they clearly borrowed from
Yeah.
that story. They weren't like married to it, but it was involved in that. But the whole idea of the Riddler, like, I mean, yeah, I guess you could make an allegory to Trump, but like,
Yeah, I don't think it was like Trump is the Riddler or the Riddler is Trump. I just think it was like this scene at the end is like eerily reminiscent of that.
well, like,
you know
online trolls and what's going on. But I just think like if you look at the story and you see like this is a guy who's the victim of a failed system.
Yeah.
Comes from nothing, has no family, is an orphan, and is abused by everything and the system itself and the corrupt program that on the surface is supposed to help people, but if anything causes more harm and damage.
Right.
I don't know. I hate some of these articles they write this shit.
Well, I mean, a lot of people just write stuff. They got to write an article each day, and this is the one written that day. I do see some parallels there. You know, I mean, there is a lot of like interesting stuff going on in the end.
I just think like when I hear about that stuff, it makes me think of again like when the Joker came out. They were talking about like,
oh yeah,
saying that he was a MAGA guy, and I was like, not at all.
No, not
no, like complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
and I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I'm like, did you guys watch the movie? You didn't pay attention to any of the I mean, both the Joker and this movie both have a very anti
they do, yeah.
Like leader elites and everything and like
anti-conservative, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think the messaging is what they think. Whatever. It's good. What do you think of the time length?
Well,
do you think it needed to be 3 hours? You think they could have cut out a half hour? And
there was a lot of scenes where I was thinking, especially early in the movie, because I knew how long it was going to be, where I was like, man, this scene could have been tightened up. That whole opening sequence where Batman was watching crime take place in a penthouse, that could have been tightened up. That was like 7 minutes long.
I remember that because I saw the movie. I haven't seen the movie recently, and the movie was so long. I forgot the first half hour.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like a lot of scenes where you're like, nothing is. That car chase scene, while magnificent, was like that could have been tightened up. They could have easily trimmed a half hour off that movie, easily.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, look, The one thing I will say, when a movie's that long, my mind starts to wonder, like, would this have been more effective as an 8-part miniseries, on HBO Max or whatever? And I'll bet you this particular would have worked great as a 8-episode series.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. It's from like, it's almost like you're making like a 6-episode series and making it into a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I just, after watching, I was like, there's no reason for this to be 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fine. If this was like the 10th movie of a saga and everything's culminating into this, then sure, I get the 3 hours. That makes sense. Like, Endgame was 3 hours, but
sure,
it made sense. It was a lot. But I don't know. Out the gate, your first movie, 3 hours seems a little bloated.
Yeah. I would have trimmed it, or I would have contemplated doing a mini series. I know that doesn't have the prestige as a film, but it was great. I really
don't know, man. I don't think people give a fuck like they used to. I don't think they have the same prestige like they used to.
Yeah, I agree.
I think like the window. I mean, look how short the windows are now too. I mean, that movie came out in March, and it's already on HBO Max. I mean, they did announce last year that it would be a 45-day window.
Yeah,
that's like almost everything now.
Well,
I mean, I'm glad I saw it in the movies. Like, I mean, it was definitely shot for the theater. Like,
I did not see it in the movies, and often I was like, oh, that would have been nice on a big screen. I mean, there's a bunch of
get angry about all the SJW stuff in the movie. Didn't Ben Shapiro get really mad about the movie?
I don't remember that. I honestly, I did not.
He did. He got mad at Catwoman because Catwoman said about going after rich white assholes or something.
Oh,
white male assholes or something.
I don't know. I mean, like,
oh no, I can't believe this character who was like used as like a prostitute and like lived a shitty life would have any angst towards anybody in a power structure. Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought she was great. It was good. I was definitely very happy to see it. It worked out just as well, if not better than I had hoped. So
yeah, no, I liked it. Like I said, I thought he was great in it. Like,
yeah, he was so good.
Again, this is not Robert Pattinson straight from fucking what's a stupid movie?
Twilight. Yeah,
like, he's done a lot of stuff since then.
Oh yeah, he's established himself as a legit actor, and he clearly did a lot of prep for this work. He was bulked up. He's looked real strong, and
it's just kind of funny because I remember hearing all the stories about how he didn't want to work out and he refused to work out.
That's funny.
That is kind of funny. He's like, I'm in the suit. No one gives a fuck. Do you think these are my muscles? It's a rubber. It's a piece of rubber.
Wow, he was great.
As long as he doesn't have a pooch, he doesn't look like Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Look at Boba Fett. Dad bod.
Like fucking spandex and elastic shit on this head.
He's wearing Bobby Hill pants.
He's in a back to tank every 30 minutes.
Oh, hold on. I gotta go back to the battle tank. Oh, a little sweaty. Go back to that battle camp.
Superman was in half the movie. Superman was in...
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy when the Mandalorian showed up for like 45 minutes of the Batman movie.
Where the fuck's Batman?
Hijacked the film.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was real good.
No, I liked it, but like I said, I want to see I think I just feel you can have all those things.
Yeah,
you can have the grit and all that shit. I feel like Matt Reeves is someone that can bring in more comical, like not comical, but like
comic oriented.
I think he could do a Robin.
I
think he could do it, and he could do it right. And that, it's so weird. It's like, dude, this other character's like 80 years old, Robin. It's like,
have they announced a sequel? Do we know if we're getting a sequel?
It's gonna be a long ass fucking time. Yeah. I mean, they announced supposedly. This is weird. They have a Penguin show.
Yeah, it's gonna be on HBO, like an 8-episode miniseries.
Yeah. It's gonna be like Peacemaker. You see Penguin come on. Do you really want?
I would love that. That would be with a penguin instead of Eagly. With a penguin.
Yeah, a penguin that he hugs. It's the same fucking show.
That would be. I would watch that show.
It's got a vigilante. It's Firefly or Hype Man.
Yeah.
Like another Batman Condiment King or whatever his name is. Like egg, like just like a lame Batman villain as a vigilante character. Oh my god.
Yeah, I would watch that. I don't know. Look, the Penguin was great in this. I don't know if I'm super interested in seeing a Penguin series, but I had no interest in a Peacemaker series, and it turned out to be amazing. So
I mean, when I heard James Gunn doing it,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's gonna be entertaining. But yeah, Peacemaker ended up being one of the best things they ever made.
yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of one of the best things made recently, you finished For All Mankind.
Such a good show.
It's so good.
I finished season 2. We talked about season 1 last week.
Yep.
Just to recap real quick, For All Mankind is basically a alternate history where if Russia landed on the moon first, and it's just kind of funny because Russia lands on the moon first, the space race completely changes.
Yep.
The course of man kind of changes. Some things don't make any sense. I'll talk about that in a sec. Of like things that didn't change.
Right.
It just don't make any sense to me. Certain things in politics don't make any sense to me.
But it's not like they're stupid. It's not
No, they're not stupid. It's just there's just some things that like work 100%, and there's some things where I'm like, I feel like they got just a little lazy about it. Okay, so right in the first season, like we talked about it, the Americans get to the moon finally, like pretty quickly afterwards.
Yeah.
They kind of almost fuck that up. And then they try to like establish a base. They discover ice on the moon. They get women. Oh, because Russia has also another thing is Russia has the first woman on the moon.
Right.
That puts a kick in the pans, and they bring back the women that were early in the astronauts to bring them back, and then a whole new crop. And it kind of changes like the course of women a bit in American history.
Yeah.
Kind of changes like positions of power a little bit. There's just some things that like, okay, so season 1 kind of ends with like they established a moon base, and there's just some shit that happens where like one of the leads, Gordo, kind of gets space madness.
Yeah.
And like the other guy's kind of stuck on the ship, and there's established that the Russians are on the moon, obviously. There's a couple of incidents, but it leads to basically the 80s.
Yes.
And now season 2, you have a much bigger, like an established moon base.
Yeah.
They call it Jamestown, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And it like went from like, okay, we get this to like, hey, this is like pretty crazy how advanced this is starting to look like Deep Space Nine a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. It went from essentially like a trailer sized moon base, looked like a semi truck they just dropped on the moon, to kind of a modular unit that was like a big complex, not huge. I mean, it was not like the size of
they're
city.
Probably adding on to it all the time. They were adding on to it, but
it was like maybe the size of a office building.
It has hundreds of people working in it. From what it looked like, at least 100 people working in there. People that are walking on the moon, people who never actually leave the base. It's crazy though that like, I don't know, like it's just some of the things that are odd. Okay, so like one of the big changes in history is that Nixon loses the 72 election to Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy doesn't go through Chappaquiddick. His political career doesn't get ruined. He doesn't get to be just a senator for the rest of his life, which in real life is what happened. He actually runs for president and wins. He loses though after the 4 years, which I found weird. I was like kind of shocked that he lost after 4 years.
Well, he lost because of the affair. He was having affairs.
It eventually bit him in the ass. Things were,
I can see that because like Clinton.
I could totally see that back then. And there were some other things with like NASA, and I think he had some other incidents, but like you didn't have the Vietnam War anymore. It ended quicker because Nixon ended it quicker to put all the resources on the moon. Like there's some things that don't happen, but I just don't believe that Reagan would have been president. I just don't believe that. Reagan was spoilers for All Mankind, season 1 and 2,
and for the actual 1980s.
And for the actual 1980s, it's like they felt like they needed like, well, we don't want to make it too alien. Reagan should be president because he was the 80s. Like when you think of the 80s, you think of Reagan. But I'm like, well, one, it would only be up to 84 because in this world,
Yeah.
Reagan is president in 76, and it clearly gets reelected, and he's president until 1984. It seems like what they do is they ended the show in the last season, like in 74 or something
That
like that.
sounds right. Yeah. Yeah.
And they kind of end this next season in like 84.
Yeah, that sounds right too.
And then the next season, spoilers, it jumps to 1995. So there's like you get like a couple of years and then it jumps 10 years. So like the world, like we have this moon base and like the tensions with Russia are different now. They're almost like maybe even worse actually with Russia than they were back. I don't know. But there ends up being like everything, there's different changes. Like they talk about Panama, and it seems like that's a bigger, almost like a war, actually, not just like a little operation, but an actual war.
Yeah, you're right. That I had forgotten
because
about
Gordo's
that,
son was like in the military.
Yeah.
And well, okay, so I just find it hard to believe that Reagan would be president. So Reagan was kind of like when he was the governor of California, and then he kind of ran multiple times for president up until 1980, where he was able, Jimmy Carter obviously was president.
Yeah.
The thing about that people don't remember about Carter was actually the one that really kind of brought in the Christian right into.
Yeah, that's real true.
Because he was supposed to be the antidote to like Nixon's corruption. Ford was considered like a lame duck, kind of the continuation of. He was just a space filler. He was never elected.
Well, and he pardoned Nixon, which really soured people on him, I think.
Yeah, but even in the other series, Ted Kennedy's like, will pardon Nixon.
True.
I guess the joke was because he walloped his ass in the election, and Nixon didn't like that.
Yeah,
I'm like, because that was the thing. Ted Kennedy, I think, should have been. Well, wait, no, 68 was supposed to be Robert Kennedy.
Okay.
And everything kind of got screwed up with that, and the guy lost. I forgot the person who ran against Nixon. Was it Huey or something? I don't even know what his name was. He, what's his face dropped out. He decided not to be president ever again. But I think Ted Kennedy was always considered a contender. And then that happened. And then like McGovern was never really, it's kind of almost like a last minute pick.
Yeah.
Another reason why, like they would always say shit like, oh, because he was too progressive and he lost like all those states. But I think the reality was he didn't have time to build up an actual
machine.
Yeah. So I just don't believe that. So Reagan was able to kind of come in because the Christian right kind of felt like Carter was pro-choice. Carter was progressive or too progressive for them. And Reagan was able to come in, even though he's a twice divorced Hollywood actor. And he was able to kind of come in at that time and take advantage of the moment. And he also had George Herbert Walker Bush.
Yeah.
The whole Iran-Contra thing as a way to weaken Carter. I just don't believe that. I mean, they don't go into the nitty-gritty detail how Reagan became president in this world. I just don't believe he would be president. It's like the writers are just like, we want Reagan here because he's the 80s.
I think some of it's storytelling. Plus, he actually was president, so it's not like a crazy.
Yeah, I know, but but we also didn't have a moon base.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
We didn't have like a functioning moon base with like hundreds of people working on it, and technology advancing the way it did.
Yeah,
like they would show the video. So we had video, like footage, like where they could talk on screens like that back in the 60s.
I believe so.
But like by the time you get to the 80s, like because of all the technology and everything like that, it's stuff's like the video starts becoming like crystal clear.
Yeah, and quickly. Like remember previously they had to wait, for it to transmit or.
I mean, like it was a kick in the pants with the technology because it's like they're putting the resources into it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I get it. It's like the writer, they were just like Reagan was president. He's what people think of him as the 80s, so it would make sense.
Right.
Like if they had, and I get it. It's like if they had a different person, probably wouldn't have been the same impact. And it becomes a little too fictional.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It would be a funny twist is if in 95, Clinton's not president. It's not Bill.
It's Hillary.
Hillary.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, it would make total sense. They set it up because if you watch the series, women are getting in bigger positions of power.
Yeah.
That one woman is who's basically at the head of NASA. I would also imagine that the Reagan administration is not the same Reagan administration we got. This Reagan administration probably could not have been as right-wing, culturally right-wing, and far right as the Reagan in the series. Or I mean, in reality, actually.
Well, that would make sense.
The focus is different.
Yeah.
You change the focus. You're putting it on about getting it, getting people to the moon or getting.
Plus, you can't talk about dismantling government when you're funneling so much money into the space program. It doesn't add up. I don't know. I could see that. I know I read an article. I'll see if I can track it down and send it to you now that you've finished season 2. I read an article where Ronald Moore, one of the creators, talked and said that they were a little hamstrung because they had gotten kind of a sense that people would start suing them, and obviously Reagan couldn't sue anyone because he's dead.
Well, he's also was a public figure, a historical public figure. Now, John Lennon's a different story.
Yeah, because they kept John Lennon alive.
John Lennon doesn't get killed, so you see him pop up a couple of times through the series as like an activist, anti-war activist.
Yeah, and but it is kind of a thin line, like taking those liberties, So I don't know. I mean, like I can see how they'd be hamstrung. I see how they kind of made some decisions based off of what makes sense from a storytelling standpoint rather than a logical standpoint.
Well, like the other thing I didn't like about the series, and this is just my other I love the series. I'm just saying, these are my critiques about it. The pop culture doesn't change. It doesn't make any sense. The pop culture would be totally different.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. They mentioned Star Trek, right? And I get it because Star Trek exists before we go to the moon. So in this world, Star Trek was a show on TV, but the difference is that Star Trek, the movies, only happened because of Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. There's no Star Trek movies without Star Wars. There's talks of bringing back Star Trek for years as a TV show. It never went anywhere. There was I don't know if you ever looked, there's images of actors and stuff where it was like Star Trek, almost like a Next Generation series that was supposed to happen.
I did hear about this. Yeah.
And there's images. It's kind of crazy looking. There's some that are online, they're legit. They're behind the scenes stuff. It just never happened. But I don't expect all those things, but Star Wars wouldn't exist in this world. Star Wars wouldn't exist. They don't mention Star Wars probably because of legal reasons. They could mention Star Trek, but again, Star Trek makes sense to me at least as a thing because it existed before the moon landing and the moon base and all that. But there's some things in pop culture that just don't line up. It's they want the audience to feel like it's not too alien, but just the pop, the world would be different. The 80s would not be the same as it was. We would not have the same clothes 100%. We would not have the same music. Just it's not possible. I'm sorry. Okay, spoilers. In the end of the season is a kind of a teaser for season 3.
Yeah.
They land on the moon and they play Nirvana.
Yeah.
I don't think Nirvana, as you know, it would exist in this world.
Yeah,
that there's just too it would be space music and it would be ethereal space music.
Yeah. No, I would say that you're right. I mean, of course, none of these things would be exactly the same. Once changes start occurring, then they would spiral out. It's just I think they need to keep it grounded in a way. But at some point you cross two different paths, right? Yeah.
And the world's going in two different directions, and you got one world that doesn't expand the moon thing, doesn't expand the space as much, doesn't do this, allows people to come in and government programs and destroy it and privatize and all that. And then you have another world where they are by 1995 we're on fucking Mars. Yeah. And the joke was we were supposed to be on Mars by then.
It's crazy.
That was we were supposed to be in there by the 80s.
Yeah. So where this season ends, you're right. There's a 10-year time leap. and we leave all the characters, the ones still alive, in 1984, and then we see them opening up in 1985. So all these major characters that are coming back, like Ed and Karen and Ellen and Margot and the rest, they're going to be significantly older. So Ed's going to be in his like late 50s or something. I mean,
late 50s, early 60s at this point. I mean, like he was in Korean War.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, so there's some good stuff in this season. There's 2 characters that won't be coming back. These 2 characters had like a great hero arc throughout the season.
Yeah, they really did.
Like
Gordo and Tracy.
So Gordo like fucked up on the moon. He got like he just got like he went nuts. And
also one of the very first scenes in the very first episode of the first season was Gordo cheating on Tracy.
Yeah, cheating, and he was a drunk.
Yep. Bad dad.
And then in this season, you see him now, they're divorced, and he's got like, he's out of shape.
Yeah.
He's basically like, what's his face in that boxing movie with Robert De Niro?
Oh, yeah. Raging Bull. He's like Jake LaMotta.
And he's basically doing these things where he's drinking, just getting paid to like go to like lodges and do like these tours.
Give toasts and stuff.
Yeah, gets paid to like talk about the moon, and people like, and also because that girl, the woman, took the blame and made it sound like Danielle saved her. Danielle, who purposely broke her arm to get him off get him off.
Yeah.
It hurt her. It hurt her. Her reputation in a way.
Yeah, it tanked her career in a way.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. And then Stacy, right? That's his wife, ex-wife, Tracy.
Yep.
You find out she kind of becomes like this, like kind of a joke too, in a way. She's like a model. She's married this rich guy. She's making appearances on TV, but she's supposed to be an astronaut, but she's not respected. She's not taken seriously.
Nah, she's like a Kardashian type figure.
Kind of, yeah. Like she gets sent to the base and is talking to Carson. Everyone hates her because it's like, come on, we're on here doing like real work and we got to do this shit. But she kind of has like, they have this like hero arc in a way, and then it's kind of fucked up. They save everyone in the end, both of them, and it's spoilers for the show. Hold on, there we go. My mic wasn't on. She remarried, right? And there's this whole scene where Gordo tells like the new husband like how he's gonna take his wife away.
Yeah, it was great.
And he wasn't kidding. He did, because she's dead, man.
Well, yeah, he wins her back, and it's real nice. I mean, like this is a soapy element to the show, but
right?
It works
that
real
last
well.
Scene when you see them,
and
blood coming out of their eyes and everything, and they're dead, like, and you see like this. The duct tape is like bursting. Like it's actually insane that they're able to even get on the moon. They did it in like they had like 15 seconds, which I find really hard to believe they were able to get to that.
Well, yeah, they make it seem like there's a nuclear reactor about to blow and it will kill everyone on the base.
Because Russia invaded the Russians invaded the base, and one of them shot up something and it caused a leak.
Yeah. And so the only people really in the position to save everyone are Tracy and Gordo, and they like haphazardly like literally duct tape together some suits, and they go fully exposed on the moon. And they'd been setting up over the series how dangerous the moon's surface was and how bad the radiation was. And they go and they almost tempt you into believing they could maybe make it and be okay. But they go shut down the reactor, race back to the thing. But by the time they're dying on the way back.
Yeah, their eyes were really like exploding, blood everywhere. Like,
but they do make it back to the base, and they die in each other's arms.
Yeah,
and
it's their story is great. I do love the whole thing too. It's just because that's where she was sneaking smokes.
Yeah,
and then she pulled them into like have sex, and that's when the Russians invaded the base. There's definitely like lots of different tensions through it. I do like that one woman who runs it, the redhead, and she's kind of got that thing going on with Sergey. Is that his name?
Yeah. Well, you get the idea. What is her name in the show? In the show, it is Margot, right?
Yeah.
And she it's not the character from the Queen's Gambit. She reminds me of the character from the Queen's Gambit for some reason. And you get the feeling that the Russians are trying to recruit her, to be a.
But they say in the end, well, there's like she's having like this kind of this relationship with the other guy who's kind of like her.
Yeah.
On the Russian end, you kind of feel like they have this like relationship and everything, but like you find out in the very end that he's being, and now you don't. I'm sure he has some feelings for her. He established he has some feelings for her, but he's basically being used by his bosses to lure in and also make her like an unknown agent.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that? Like, how would she not be aware? Like, what would they would just have her influence things and not realize it?
I don't, it's kind of ambiguous, but it could either be, I think it could either be.
She starts saying, what's that word from Hawaii all the time?
Oh.
That Tulsi uses. She starts talking like Tulsi all of a
sudden.
Right.
No, I think it's either.
In Ukraine. What?
He could either like influence the scientists in her saying like, why don't we do this or that or whatever, and she could make decisions based that way. But I got the impression more that it would be like that what they said Trump had, that compromat or where that you basically put someone in a compromising position and then use it against them. Basically you would have all these recordings of them meeting and like receipts of them at a hotel room, even if nothing scandalous was going on, and then all of a sudden it's like, we'll drop this bomb and crater your whole life unless you do this, something like that. Because she doesn't, that character's a real interesting one, and she initially was like a main character, now she's kind of like receded into the background. We've seen her like,
she had a big part this season.
Yeah, I guess but she had that big arc in the first season with the Nazi scientist where she was like, you can't do, she gave him no mercy or whatever, and we talked about how she probably didn't need to give him any mercy, but my guess is that they're setting up an arc for her later on where someone basically says to her, I can't forgive the things you've done. You know what I mean? Like,
I got you. Yeah.
Like you're going to see her do something with the Russians, and then a bright-faced young idealist is going to look at her the way she looked at that Nazi scientist.
That angry girl?
Yeah, could be.
From the first season.
I was really.
Did you like the new actress that played her?
No, the actress was fine. I didn't have any problems with the actress, but like, I didn't like that character. It didn't make any sense to me.
Well, it was like weird because it was like, well, they kind of say what happens. Well, the funny thing is, like, she was like, "Oh, could I stay with you in the first season?" Right. So this is the Hispanic girl whose father gets kicked out of the country.
Yes.
And she says to Margot, Margot was kind of like becoming her like
mentor or something.
Yeah, it was gonna be her prodigy or something like that. And she asked if I could live with you, and Margot said no. I think the joke was the reason why she couldn't live with her is because I think Margot lived there. They established that in the first episode, in season 1, that like she was like giving herself like horse baths in the bathroom and like getting changed there in the closet.
Yeah.
Well, now because she was higher up, she had this bigger office, so she was able to sneak in a bed almost. Like she had this huge, and she had a big closet.
Like George at the Yankees.
What?
Like George when he worked for the Yankees.
Yeah. No, but she never left. She just lived there. She had no personal life either, which probably the Russians knew that.
She did have one weird little personal life quirk, kind of similar to the Parks and Rec guy.
Oh, that's right. She was Duke Silver.
Yeah, she has a jazz
piano. Yeah, which she reveals to the Russian guy because she was trying to get him to reveal something, so she revealed something of herself. But I think they established she does not have a house. She lives
that's funny. Probably you're right.
Because and that's why that Nazi scientist says to the ex-Nazi scientist says to her, like, you need to stop. You don't have you're not going to get these positions because you're not personable. You're not
right.
You need to make friends. You need to do this. And if you're just this, you're not going to be able to just rise on meritocracy alone.
Right.
And then he gives her the tools to get that job though, which which was great. And then
I didn't like the the girl, the grown-up version of the girl, she just made like decisions like, I couldn't understand why she was as angry as she was. And B, I couldn't understand, like, towards the end, she basically chooses to like run off with her boyfriend instead of,
in the first season you're talking about.
oh yeah, run off with her boyfriend instead of pursuing a career at NASA. And I didn't remember that one part where there's a great part where she told one of the other engineers that she knew how he wet his pants.
Yeah, well, because Margot
revealed
told her that story, and because he was kind of mean to her, not mean, he was kind of just being a
hazing kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And she says that, and he loses it because he's like, what the fuck, I've been working here for years.
Yeah.
And like people are still talking about the story. And I love that scene though when she comes over trying to apologize.
Yeah.
He basically explains to her the story.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I pissed my pants because I was trying to save this guy's life.
Right. Yeah.
Literally sat there for hours. And because I stood up, forgot when everyone was cheering that these people were alive, and then I had a pee spot on me. Someone made fun of me, and he's like, that sucks. It's like, it's humiliating. And then to have this girl like fucking like, what? You've been here a month and you know the story already? What the fuck? Yeah.
It just like a lot of that, like Margot confided in this girl, and then this girl immediately dropped it on this guy, and it was just like
a fucking hothead,
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. I said,
some things didn't make sense anyway. Okay, so she like in the end of the first season, you see her kind of just wandering off on her own. You don't know where she goes, right? And then the second season, you see her, she's living out in this trail, and she's kind of like a drunk. But you find out she like must have went to school and went and was an engineer or something, because she had jobs at like these things, and but she was such a
but she kept getting fired.
But I just find it hard to believe that she even like continued on as even an engineer and even got these jobs.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? That's like the one thing I'm like, wait, what? But I mean,
these are all like super minor nitpicking things. The show is amazing.
The show is amazing. There is some, like I said, there's some soap opera fillers. It's like the stuff with the woman who's like now the head of NASA, who is a lesbian, and she has the fake marriage with that guy. I forgot his name. Corddry, Rob Corddry's brother. They have like the fake marriage where he's with dudes, and she had the one woman, but they show that she was living on the base in the moon for years, and then she was coming home. That was like in the first episode. And she kind of hooks up with that woman again, the former bartender, and she gets that position. I guess they kind of hinted that guy who. So it's interesting. In the first season, there's that guy, and then because Nixon wasn't president, Ted Kennedy had his own guy who was kind of like him but different. Right. And then because Ted Kennedy loses, that guy comes back because he was. He said, he's like, dude, I'm not really political. It's like I just go where I need to, like, I think they kind of established that he might be gay or something because he knew that she was hiding. They hinted at something, just like about. And it could have been anything. It could have just been like personal life, like
could have been that he had a brother who was who was gay.
And well, regardless, like just something like I forgot what he said. Something about being her true self or something.
Yeah, it was very clear that they were trying to tell you something in that scene.
Like, like live your life. Play this character here, but when your own personal life, don't hide who you are or something. But it's interesting too, because in that first season when she tells Deke that she was a lesbian, and Deke's like, fuck. But then he dies, so the secret fucking stays on the moon. I think Karen has a great story arc too, because her character in the first season, she's like just anti-woman's lib almost.
And she's very anti. She's a 1950s Stepford wife.
Yeah, she's like super conservative. Like, and then what's her face? Molly's husband
lights up a J.
Puff of the J, the magic dragon. All of a sudden, she's like fucking
snozberries taste like snozberries.
Yeah, she's just like all of a sudden it's like.
A lot of things happen to her, and it is kind of a natural arc. Like they're the husband Ed is gone all the time.
Yep.
And she's always worried about him. And he keeps leaving the family. You know, even though he's the hero, we like seeing him go into action. He has abandoned, and then their son dies.
Yeah, the son dies, which is kind of fucked up in the first season.
Yep. And then she starts grieving that, and she's grieving kind of like that she never sees she's alone. Her kid's
gone. So she buys up that bar, turns into a restaurant.
Yep.
You also find out they adopted a daughter.
Yeah.
An older kid. They adopted like a 10-year-old or something, because the girl's like now like 17 or something.
But then she has an affair with a kid, basically.
Because her son's best friend.
Yeah.
Gordo and Tracy's son.
Her dead son's best friend.
Yeah. I mean, he's a grown man, but he's still...
He's a kid, basically. You know, he's like an 18-year-old.
Yeah, it's odd.
And then the kid's like, you know, we can make this work. And she's like, no, I'm just down to fuck. I don't want to like
right now, you know, smoking them J's and smoking them D's and
then she I don't know if like she and Ed are really going to be together when
I think they established that they'll be divorced. I mean, they kind of established it in the end. I think she's like, I'm not going to be, you know, she sells the business and she said she's going to go back to college, and she has like, she's going to do something else with her life. Now they might be back together, who knows, but I think the reality is like, I think it was like her last draw was when him and Gordo do that dumb like jet thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they have to bail into the water.
Yeah. And he's like in the hospital and he's all bruised up and everything, but you know if he was gonna live or not. And she's like, I'm tired of this shit. I'm not gonna like just sit here and see if you're gonna come home or not. Anymore.
It was really so like that arc was obviously very soapy, but I thought it was real important because it showed the sacrifices that space exploration require. Like you can't
spouses have to go through like that. They kind of showed up with Molly too. Like there's this whole scene where Molly it's interesting because I bet it's factual that there was like a sun, like a burst, or what was it?
It was a solar burst or solar
flare.
Yeah.
And they said it even on the show, like, we'll be fine on Earth because we have the protection of like gravity,
the atmosphere and stuff,
and all that. But the moon, we don't, and nowhere near as much. Right. And it's interesting because probably back when that happened in the 80s, it wasn't a big deal because there was no one on the moon. We didn't have a moon base.
Right.
But they were like, holy shit, we got to figure this out. Molly, that scene's pretty sick where they show like all the dust kind of coming up and she's trying to save that guy. Yep. And because she's trapped outside.
She hides in a cave.
Yeah, but she doesn't wear that monitor. She purposely takes it off.
Well, she takes it off so that they wouldn't realize.
So they don't think it. The other guy, he ends up leaving. And she's like, what are you doing? Staying around. He's like, listen, I don't know if I'm like going to live. Like, I might only have a couple of years of life.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I'm like,
the guy a heavy dose of radiation.
Yeah, well, she also got it too, but like I guess it must have fucked with her eyes because she starts to like not be able to see.
Yeah.
And they said it's possible that could be from cancer or something that clearly she hid. And that's the result is. And so they show her she's like gonna go to some like quack doctor to like
she's gonna go like Mexico or Guatemala and
and her husband like loses his shit and like I'm gonna leave you. I'm not gonna but it all works out in the end. I felt they had got a new actor. He just lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
I was like, who the fuck is this? And then that episode, I was like, when he's like losing his shit on her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's that guy. All right. I'm like, I really thought everyone, dude, I looked it up. A thing. Everyone thought that he was recasted. He just lost he must have lost like 40 pounds or something.
I didn't even notice.
I noticed in the first episode when he was like playing golf with them. I'm like, that looks so different.
Yeah.
Because he was pretty pudgy. And then and his face just looked different. I was like, they just got a dude and put a mustache on him and be like, yeah, it's Molly's husband. Don't worry about it.
I like it. Took me a little while to get used to the timing of the show, but like it works really well because by the time they release season 3, Ed probably will look 60. You know, I mean, he probably.
Yeah, I know. I heard it ended like 2 years ago or something. Season 2.
I actually I watched season 2 week by week, and I finished it a while ago. So
I might just wait till it's like I have 3 months on the Apple. I don't know if I'm going to keep it, and then I'll probably just go back to it like when it's done.
yeah, I don't know. I'm like Apple TV is only like $5.99 a month.
I know.
There's a
It's
lot
like,
of good
what
shit.
was it like? Fucking Netflix is like keeps going up in price. Do you
Did
hear
you-
about Netflix?
Yeah, they lost legitimately like a third of their value.
They keep canceling shit.
Yeah.
They
Did
keep
you watch?
canceling shit, and then they give douchebags like Dave Chappelle a ton of money.
Did you see that tweet I put out today? I took their stock price for the last 5 years, and there were 2 times it cratered. This is just a coincidence, but my theory was that the first one was when they canceled Cowboy Bebop, and the second was when they canceled Archive 81. Like, it was a joke.
People were like legitimately pissed because it was like you left it at such a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and it was a good show. It was legit, and it was
good. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, I watched it.
Did you watch the Velvet Underground documentary on Apple?
No,
that's real good.
I'll have to check that out.
Big, like 2-hour-long Velvet Underground.
I watched the Jimmy Savile documentary on Netflix.
Did you watch Schmigadoon yet?
No, I did not watch Schmigadoon. The Jimmy Savile, I think that's his name. That was fucked up.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I have not seen that yet.
You honestly don't really need to watch the first episode. The first episode was like just establishing like what he did, and everyone's kind of like alluding to the fact that he was like a creep.
Right.
It's like they really did not need to make this 2 parts. They could have just added 5 minutes in the beginning of the second part, just show a lot of his accomplishments. Like, hey, this guy was like the Dick Clark of England. He was like a trusted figure. And
is it in episode 2 where he teams up with Gary Glitter? Is it
kind of? Or he was Gary? Yeah, he's just disgusting. But the craziest thing about the Jimmy Savile thing, is I guess in his last couple of years of his life, he does like kind of like this media tour with people. Like he was out, he wasn't around for a couple of years. And then he's back, and around this time, people were already starting to hear like rumors.
Yeah,
but he's being interviewed, and he's kind of like dropping hints about like how many like young girls like old ladies he had. Like the guy was just like a pig. Like supposedly he like donated money to hospitals and like abused like the patients. Like
I'll check that out.
Real disgust. Like I've heard stories about this from people I know in England, like artists and stuff. And this one guy told me about him, and I was like, what? He made it sound like though he was like a kids show host though, but I wouldn't. He's not. No, I would say he's more like Dick Clark of England. Like he was just a media person.
I'll check it out.
That was not in the For All Mankind. Back to that. Great show. A really good like what if on history.
It's
like
just fun. Yeah.
My issues with the second one being the 8, like I almost feel like the first one with like Ted Kennedy becoming president, I was like, wow, okay, they're like doing it. They're showing like world taking a different path. But I almost feel like maybe that when like what's her face when she comes home and she doesn't thank her girlfriend, but she thanks her fake husband.
Yeah.
That's when they're like, it's not gonna be as progressive as you think. And that's when Reagan kind of comes into the picture.
I like there's a lot to criticize about the show, but it's like weird because these are like cool, fun, thoughtful criticisms to have. You know,
it's so well done that it's like, who cares about, like, I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah.
I do believe though that there is, like, I'm sorry, if there's grunge music, like you can have grunge music playing in the background, right? But if they're specifically like, yeah, man, Nirvana's the best, Pearl Jam's the best, I'm gonna be like, no, bullshit. Yeah. This world would not exist the way it was. That music would not be what it was. We're going to fucking Mars. Like the world is totally different.
Right. People, it'd be more optimistic or more. Yeah, definitely things.
There's definitely like, I mean, it's awesome when like these nuclear sirens are going off because it's like World War III almost starts in the end of season 2. And I love the whole thing with what's her name? Who's the one? She gets back and she ends up becoming the leader of that. It was supposed to be the 2 pods that were going to handshake in space, basically.
Oh, yeah, Danielle.
Yeah, she basically tells him, like, you're putting me in this position. I'm going to be the leader here. Because you want the United States to think that, like, we're this progressive country to Russia and everything like that, then you better have me be the not just a supporting player, but the actual lead. So I thought that was great. And I liked when she, like, says, fuck it, I'm not going to follow the rules. And they do the handshake. And because they do that, it kind of eases up on everything.
It does, yeah. And Reagan gets on the phone and said, like, look, this is,
they take Air Force One, they go right to Russia, shakes the hands with the premiere. Or whatever
Yeah,
his
it's
name
such a
was.
crazy scene.
Well, there's one crazy scene though where they kind of allude to where what you think what's his face could turn to a villain and start World War III. Dean, what's his name again? The main guy.
Are you not talking about Deke? Are you? Oh, Ed. Yeah, Ed.
Ed.
Right.
When they're on that.
Yeah, he's going to shoot down the ship, right?
What was it called? The Russian one.
I forget the name of it, but yeah,
But he ends up shooting down something else, like a missile or something, right?
He shoots his own ship, the supply ship.
But that had weapons on it or something.
Yeah, there's some. It was a while ago since I watched season 2, but they set it up so that you think he's going to fire on the Russians, but instead he fires on like a Sea Dragon or something. Like
Sea Dragon is what it's called.
The one of the American ships, and he does that because the Russians were sent to interdict the Sea Dragon, and the Russians were going to shoot down the Sea Dragon, which would have compelled Ed to shoot the Russians. And Ed's like, fuck it, I'm going to shoot the Sea Dragon down, and they'll just blame it on a malfunction or something like that. And I think that's how they leave it. Like, oh, it just blew up. Like, we don't know what happened.
But I think there was supposed to be like weapons on there, like nukes or some shit. There was supposed to be like, it was like considered like an act of war to bring that onto the moon.
Yeah, well, it's basically like what's going on in the Ukraine now, where they're saying like, if you deliver weapons, then we're going to consider that an act of war, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was a nerve-wracking scene. It was just great. I'm so excited for season 3.
Yeah, it was very well done. Like I said, I have my little nitpicks, but overall, man, that last episode, that was very well done. I mean, I felt the tension when all the sirens are going off, and like, they show all the buildings are empty because everyone's like hiding in like.
Great characters, great story. It's the music's great. I mean, like you said, there's area to nitpick, but it's even fun to nitpick it because you're talking about these kind of like cool little intellectual what ifs and stuff. I mean, like, it's a fun exercise. So,
and like I said, it's very well done. The acting's good. I will say the only character where maybe they'll refine her more in the third season is the older version of that girl from the first.
Is her name Alita?
I guess I don't remember
something like that. Yeah, her last name is Rosales, but I can't remember.
I do like that scene a lot though, when she goes and visits that guy to try to get him to come back.
That was a great scene.
I thought that was great.
You're rooting for them to reconnect and to like.
Well, also you get to know him because he was just kind of like he's there from the beginning, and it's like he's right. He's like he does not get any respect. He's like he's not going to be on the moon. He's not going to like. He shows like he has all the memorabilia, he has all the shit in his house and everything, and I just thought that was like the whole thing was like a really good scene. It was like humanizing, and it was like, he's an actual character. He's not just someone in the background. And it made her better too. So.
Right.
So I'm definitely excited to see season 3. I'm really curious where they're going to go with it. Supposedly some rumors this might be the last season.
They said initially there's going to be a 7-season arc is what they're planning on.
That seems a little much. Yeah. But I mean, it's 7 seasons. Like, okay, if you're jumping like, and like say you're going to the Mars in 95, like, I mean, what at that point, by the time you get to where we are now, it's going to be like some real sci-fi shit at that point. Like, what, we're going to like the edge of the galaxy? You know what I mean? We're meeting aliens. I mean, like,
could be. I mean, like, I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, that'd be crazy. That'd be nuts. The Zorgons, Alf. That's how they get Alf back. That's how they get Alf. They bring Alf back. It's like, hey.
Yeah. Well.
No. Yeah, it's like, do you ever see that? What's that Star Trek movie where they go? It's the one with the Borg, Next Generation movie.
First Contact, is it?
Yeah, when they go back in time to like Zart. What's his name? The guy who founded the Time Warp, not Time Warp, but like
right.
I didn't like about the movies that they helped them too much to get to it.
I think Ronald Moore wrote that movie.
Oh, really?
I believe so.
Contact?
First Contact.
I mean, it's a great movie. It's one of the best Star Trek movies. And what's her face? Is great. It's the evil Borg queen.
Yeah. Well, he did Star Trek Voyager. He did the Battlestar.
That's a show.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like looking through his stuff, filmography. He did not.
Okay. Well, in the end of Contact.
Oh no, he wrote First Contact.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he was
See,
the
that
writer.
could be what he could do, is like it leads to where we get to, because in the end of the movie, the whole thing is like he goes the speed of light, right, and gets to like the edge of the galaxy, which attracts the Vulcans in the end. Spoilers for a movie that came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
And the Vulcans show up, right? And that's how, like, that's like the beginning of the Enterprise. Is like in the end, you see Vulcans on Earth and everything. And then that could be how they could redo that though in the last season, but instead of Vulcans, it's Alfs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would watch that.
I would too.
Well, Ronald D. Moore wrote First Contact with a couple other writers, but that was all he did. He didn't direct or do anything else with it. But
That's
he was a writer. That was a good one. Yeah. All right. So
oh shit, man, we were talking about let's talk about Moon Knight real quick.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say about this other than this was the best episode yet.
Yeah, and, I'd say since the first. I mean, I liked it. I don't know. I don't have. I'm trying to think. Like, it had spoilers for Moon Knight episode 4. No Moon Knight is in it. You don't see any Moon Knight costume or anything.
Well, you see a small action figure of Moon Knight.
Right. Well, so something happens. I mean, you could explain it a little bit, the episode, and then...
the basic episode is that he's given up being Khonshu's vessel, so to speak.
Well, Khonshu,
yeah, I'm sorry.
Khonshu gets put in stone,
statue,
because he becomes like a statue. I think Moon Knight, he doesn't have access to the costume and the powers anymore,
or the suit or anything.
So, Khonshu is the one that gave him all that.
Long story short, he as this British persona is searching for Amit's statue, so he can kind of like stop the Ethan Hawke character from getting Amit, and they find it in Alexander the Great's sarcophagus.
I almost thought they were alluding to Kang a bit, like the face on Alexander the Great, because in the comics, and we're talking really old, Kang's first true appearance in the comics is Ramatut in Fantastic Four, where Kang, because he's all different versions, and there's a version of Kang where he basically goes back and becomes a Tut. Because they talk about that in the show. Grant's going on about like how this guy was not Egyptian,
he was Macedonian, but that's Alexander the Great.
And I thought they were going to allude that like it was a Kang. Like,
that's funny.
Face kind of,
a
little bit. I don't know. That would be kind of cool.
With about 15 minutes left in the episode, the Ethan Hawke character shows up and presumably, or it looks like he shoots and kills the Oscar Isaac character.
There's like these weird like zombies, like they fight. They were a little hard to see. It was like kind of dark. They were really creepy. But they were like doing like they get the one guy. They kind of do what like, you ever read like how they mummify people?
Yeah.
They put a hook and they pull all the organs out of the nose, basically, or out of the belly button.
Yeah. Well, he all of a sudden it shifts into a pretty bright modern day mental hospital.
You see him get shot and he's kind of falling,
into a bright light.
And then the next scene is he's in a mental hospital.
And a lot of the characters, go ahead.
But that's not the first thing you see. The very first thing you see is, so once that happens, all of a sudden there's a complete adjustment of film. And you're like watching some like old kids TV show or movie.
It's like a Raiders of the Lost Ark ripoff.
With like VHS quality, like real shitty and grainy. It looks exactly like you're watching something shitty from like that era. And it's revealed like the character, who's like the Indiana Jones character, his name is Steve Grant. Which I thought was awesome, because it's like, it kind of is showing you almost like the origins of the Steve Grant persona inside of Mark Spector or something.
Yes. And so then you see like Oscar Isaac's in a wheelchair, and
because he's watching it on TV, that movie.
And Ethan Hawke is the administrator of the hospital. I'm kind of paraphrasing a bunch of things.
You
Some
see
things,
some of the people, like those two, like that one woman and that one guy who work for Ethan Hawke's character. They're kind of like, I
they're
don't know,
orderlies.
cops or something, but now they're the orderlies.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of the women in the institution is that woman that was kind of his boss at the museum.
Yep. And you see him try to get out of the wheelchair, but he's fastened in the wheelchair, which reminds you of him being fastened in his bed.
Well, Steve Grant being fastened in the bed. Yeah.
And so quickly you begin to think like, hey, maybe he imagined all this, right? Maybe none of this really happened. Maybe he's been imagining all this. And Ethan Hawke's character even says that, like, you see a lot of parallels between your life and that imaginary TV show you watch. But then as the scene evolves and as this Oscar Isaac's character is coming out of sedation, you see all these things and you can't tell if they're hallucinations or not. Like, he notices Ethan Hawke's character is wearing the sandals that he wore.
Yep, and he has a cane that's different but the same shape.
Yep. And there's a lot of Egyptian paraphernalia around
in his office.
Yeah.
And yeah. And even like his wife's there.
Yep.
She's one of the but like one of the crazier scenes is like he's trying to escape or something at this point.
Yeah.
And one of the rooms, there's a sarcophagus. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
And you hear banging and he opens it and it's Steve Grant.
Yeah.
I thought it was really funny when they hug each other. I thought that
two
really
Oscar
funny.
Isaacs, both
there's two Oscar Isaacs.
Yeah.
And they, again, it's weird. I don't understand why they're hiding this other personality, because we're already like 4 episodes in.
Yeah.
And they kind of hinted it heavily in the 3rd episode that there is another personality that Steve Grant and Mark, even what's his face, is not even aware of this personality.
Right. I forget the guy's last name. But yeah, all these things are, and then the two of them talk and they're like, well, what's the last thing you remember? And they both remember Harlow getting shot. And you start to think, okay, well, maybe all these personalities have been split and they each have their own body now, But
I don't think that's the case, because then you see another sarcophagus and it's banging, but they kind of ignore it at that point. Like they're like, they just keep going.
Yeah.
And then at the door comes in, you see this big hulking thing.
Yeah, big.
And it opens up and it's like another like Egyptian type god, but it's got a hippo head.
Yeah.
And they're like, and it's just like a nice little voice. And what did she say?
She's like, oh, hi, like something like that.
Yeah, it's like a cute little hippo. Like, all right.
It was a really, and that's where it ended. So, I don't know where it's going. It's a great episode.
It's only 2 episodes. Now, the rumor is supposedly these next 2 episodes are really long.
Good. Well, they've all been like almost an hour. You
know?
I
would say I'm like, because like, I feel like the other shows are always like a little shorter.
The other shows often had episodes with like 38 minutes or 45 or
Loki
something.
was pretty long.
That's true. Yeah. Well, this was a great episode. I feel like there's not really much to say about it until it picks up, because it feels like half of a chunk of story.
So I'm like, okay, so Mark Spector is like the mercenary. He kind of they also explain like how he met his wife or something.
Yes.
How that happened again? I like totally blanked on it.
He was involved in not a plot. He was there when her dad got killed. And he didn't have anything to do with it, but he saw it. And his wife is speculating now that he sought her out because he felt guilty about being there when her dad got killed. Which is obviously
like that they haven't seen each other in 10 years.
I found that hard to get, because
he's really young.
Well, and in one episode too, like just an episode or 2 ago, it seemed like she just hadn't talked to him for like 6 months or something.
Yeah, I'm like 10 years seems like a long time.
Yeah.
I do like the whole I guess that was in the last episode though, when she had like that amulet that she broke in half to use as weapons.
Yeah.
I like in this episode when she's kind of getting it on. It's the Steve Grant persona.
Right.
I do. Okay, so the one thing that's weird about this show, it's like, okay, they have these 2 personalities, and they think it's like, okay, he's gonna get these 2 guys living in this body, but it's like one of them has to be the prime.
Yeah,
one of them has to be the identity, and the other one,
or at least the first.
dissociative personality brought upon by like abuse or neglect.
Yeah.
There's always like a lot of these dissociative personalities. People have this supposedly. You find out that most of the time it's due to like trauma, abuse, all these different things that like makes them create these outlets, and like this personality is really protecting this personality. Yeah. Steve Grant is like just completely unaware of, like, he is like a person who was living his life, and one day he found out there was someone living inside of him.
Yeah.
And he's just, and you're like, but I feel like in this episode it is, especially in the institution scene and showing the big reveal with the movie that he watches, that Steve Grant is a character that Mark Spector created. That Steve Grant
I can see that
he is, even though he has his own like personality and memories and stuff like that, but I think it'll be established that Mark Spector is Moon Knight and the main guy. I don't know. Yeah. And then there's the other one that Jake Lockley, but they haven't introduced yet, which I'm like, and I'm curious what they're going to do with that one. I have a feeling he's going to be like Wolverine or some shit.
Yeah,
like,
I can see that.
Really aggressive, and like even Mark Spector is going to be like, whoa, tone it down, buddy.
Right.
But I think they established that this other character exists, because they even said in that first episode when like Steve Grant goes to the museum and that woman talking about their date, that's not Mark Spector either. That was that was Jake Lockley, who was clearly hitting on her, and
yes,
and it was Jake Lockley doing a lot of this other stuff that even Mark Spector's not aware of.
Well,
but I'm like, I don't know, you only have 2 episodes left, and you're going to introduce this third personality. It does exist, because they even hint at it in the marketing. They show 3 different faces. And then even in this is great, in the Steve Grant Indiana Jones ripoff cheap movie. Yeah. If you look, there's a statue of like some god.
Oh yeah, and it's got like, it doesn't have 3 faces or 4.
It has it looks like 3 faces, but when you look at it, what's really going on is it's one face opening up to reveal another face. And that face opening up to reveal the
like a Russian doll type of thing.
Yeah, kind of. And that's kind of like Mark Spector with 3 personalities.
Yeah, that was cool. I noticed that.
Yeah, so I mean, the show is good. I don't know where it's going. I'm curious, like, if it's gonna is it gonna have like a resolution that will be like there'll be more adventures, or Moon Knight will show up here.
Will it tie into any other element of the MCU?
Right now, it doesn't seem to. I thought maybe the Kang, that could have been a Kang thing with the whole sarcophagus, but I mean, the Alexander the Great. I thought maybe they were alluding to that. Like I said, the statue.
Well, it could still be that Alexander the Great really was Kang. I mean, that's nothing wrong with, that could be a thing. So
yeah, sure, why not? Let's make Kang everybody. Kang was everything great throughout history, right? Or terrible. Yeah, it was weird when I decided to be President Lincoln and also Jefferson Davis. That was strange. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. Loki ended up on a very big cliffhanger.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know when the hell that show's coming back. Probably not for like another year or 2. Mm-hmm. There were no announcements. Loki's not coming out this year.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, when's that shit coming out, man? I mean, that was a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it was.
Like, it left with like not just the reveal that now no one knows who he is, because like time changed because of what happened with her killing the old Kang character. Yeah. But I'm curious how this one will end. I liked it. I don't know. You have anything else to say about it?
No. I'm real anxious to see the next one. It'll be good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess this is the transition to we actually don't have a ton of news topics.
Well, speaking of Disney properties.
Yeah, right. We have a couple of big ones. Ron DeSantis, and the Florida Senate voted on this tonight. Ron DeSantis voted to rescind the special governing district, or propelled a vote to rescind the special governing district for Disney. I think it's called Woody Creek or Reedy Creek or something. And you've also seen Ted Cruz jump on Disney. He said that maybe they're going to start, that they produce pornographic materials and stuff. I mean, it's a bizarre pile on Disney.
it's weird because like yeah, well, yeah, they was like all the right wings really pushing this whole like Disney's a bunch of groomers, which is really
Yep.
bizarre. Like this really, they just I don't know. You know, they're really good at taking things that people know in pop culture and like pissing people off. Like that's how that works. That's what Republicans are doing. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, last year with the whole Aunt Jemima, Miss Potato Head, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Dr. Seuss, yeah, those are all things you know. Like they're like corporate entities and products you consume. So the
Well,
Republicans, when they come in, and they say, hey, they're trying those SJWs are trying to take those away from you. People have a personal effect on them because they buy those products all the time. They ingest that media all the time. They don't have a connection to some politician that's trying to do this. They don't know what the fuck that is, but they do know what this product is, and they do
yeah.
know what Disney is. So that's why I think the Republicans are really doubling down on Disney shit because it's something that everybody in America knows, and it makes it's easy for the right wing to paint a villain out of something.
I think the problem with this one's a puzzling one because one problem is you're right. The GOP is kind of like built off of this outrage culture stuff, but they rely on a new outrage each day. And normally they freak out about like Aunt Jemima or whatever, and then the next day they freak out about something else, and everyone forgets about Aunt Jemima. You know, there's probably tons of MAGA chuds that still purchase Aunt Jemima syrup. You know, that if
Oh
that's what
yeah,
they
no,
like.
I know. They move on to the next thing,
Yeah.
and then they forgot what they were fucking mad at to
Right.
begin with.
But Disney's like a little different because if they get rid of Disney's special governing district, that's a big significant change for a lot of Florida.
Yeah, I don't
Disney's,
understand I mean, you told me before the podcast started that this actually is something that Disney's paying for themselves.
yeah,
Right?
like it used to be like 10 years ago, you'd more likely find Democrats arguing against this or arguing that Disney should have this revoked because basically what it does is says Disney can run its own show. They don't really have to adhere to a lot of the rules and regulations, and but they also pay their own. They do their own mail delivery there. They do their own road construction. They build their own power plants. They don't rely on the government doing that stuff for them. It's a weird little libertarian carve out. And so it used to be that the Democrats would be like, no, you've got to pay tax. We got to see what's going on in here, and you got to play by the same rules anyone else does. That's never really panned out because Disney's like universally popular and makes a ton of money for the state. You know?
Yeah, it's like one of the main reasons why people outside of like old people and weirdos, the main reason why a lot of people visit Florida is, right. You know, you could say beaches, but there's beaches everywhere in the United States.
Sure, and
Florida.
And also, like the people that go to the beaches, they also go to Disney. It's like if you ask people why are you going to Florida, Disney is always going to be in the top 3.
And Disney's in the center of the state, right?
Yes, it's in Orlando.
So it gives a reason for people to travel in the actual state as opposed to just the coast.
Yeah, Universal wouldn't exist without Disney. The Orlando Magic wouldn't exist without Disney. University of Central Florida wouldn't exist without Disney. A lot of this stuff wouldn't exist without Disney. Anyway, so if they tax Disney, if they get rid of Disney's special governing this, that, and whatever, then all of a sudden they got to pay. The state's got to pay for all this shit.
Or and all that does is hurt the taxpayer.
Yeah. So it's a real puzzling thing. Now, and this is kind of just me speculating. I've often thought like the people at Disney are planning for long-term success. Like Florida, it's dicey there, you know, with global warming and the way that the climate is changing. They shut down
levels rise. Florida will be the first state in the United States to really go away.
Yeah, it's like New Orleans and Florida. So they get shut down by hurricanes all the time. The weather in the summer is intolerable. Disney may be thinking, even if conditions in Florida were fine right now and they had a good governor and all that, Disney still may be thinking like, look, at some point we may have to move. We may have to move. You know, I mean, if Georgia wasn't such a basket case, they might have been thinking Atlanta. Not a bad idea. You know, Disney isn't sold on like beaches and palm trees and shit like that. I mean, Disney's just sold as Disney.
Governor of, they could create any environment they want.
Yeah, it's not like they rely on like
they're in California also, and supposedly a lot of the park elements are the same in both
They're
places.
real similar. Yeah.
The governor of Colorado made a joke, or maybe wasn't joking, and said, "You can come out here." He invited Twitter, because Ron DeSantis also went after Twitter.
Yep.
And said, "You guys can come here." And
Well,
the only thing about Colorado may be a problem is just that depending on what part of Colorado they do it in, I don't know if they can do a year-round thing. It snows a lot.
Get your Mickey weed. Get your Mickey weed.
Yeah.
And Disney's
going because he's high.
Disney's not just Disney. Disney is Disney World. It's Animal Kingdom.
Ted Cruz.
It's the entire city of Celebration. It's the Lake Buena Vista property. It's what used to be the old MGM studios. It's like a giant chunk of Central Florida.
It's really weird that the governor of Florida would pick a fight with one of their
and all Disney said is like, hey, maybe we shouldn't go after trans kids.
That was it. That's all it started. It was that Disney backpedal on something and said, yeah, you're right, we don't support this. And then Ron DeSantis like, our guys are the enemy.
It's just, and there are like Florida politicians say that basically have said, yeah, this is payback. This is what happens when you disagree with us. Like, I don't.
Well, talk about big government, huh?
It's crazy. Yeah, this is essentially a giant big government takeover of a private business. And it's also, it's just a bizarre.
So funny how these anti-government people love government.
Well,
they could use it to hurt things.
And it's a bizarre fight to pick. I mean, you can pick on a lot of things, but Disney's universally liked. It just is.
Yeah, being that it's always packed.
Yeah. So
here's the thing about Disney. It's crazy because they bought everything. Only thing I would be interested in Disney is probably the Marvel and Star Wars stuff. But the joke is that most of the people go to Disney go there because they love the Disney stuff, the actual Disney shit.
Yeah, the old school 1950s Disney stuff.
Like that one guy, remember him, who said he couldn't go to Disney anymore because it was too woke? Remember him?
Yeah.
That's probably what started this. I'm telling you, the Republican, they use this whole woke shit. It started with Star Wars and
they didn't like that there is a Tatiana, a black princess, and they didn't like Moana, and they don't like, they don't like this. They don't like that 1950s Main Street Disney, which was essentially robots built by Nazi scientists. They don't like that's been replaced by kind of this multicultural, hey, let's have, was Encanto, was that Disney or was that someone else?
Encanto is Disney.
Yeah, they don't like that. They don't want to hear stories about Latino families. It pisses them off.
They want to see Mickey Mouse fuck his dog. That's what Ted Cruz said. Ted Cruz was being interviewed by Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire. And he said that Disney is making videos of Pluto getting it on with Mickey, and even Michael Knowles, who's a disgusting human being, is like, whoa, what are you talking about?
And I just don't get I don't know. I guess I just don't get
He's trying to imply and saying that Disney makes perverted products.
I get that.
For kids. And it's like, what are you talking about? And then it's like, I guess he's thinking he's being funny by saying Disney's making Mickey and Pluto have sex, and it's like, where are you getting this? Dude, you're a senator. You're a sitting senator. You're a fucking joke, dude.
Well,
what is a joke?
It is remarkable. So they like I said, they voted on it today. It passed. It went through the Senate.
I guess that was in a Ted Cruz's dream. He thought they actually he had a heavy dream of Mickey Mouse fucking Pluto, and then he woke up thinking there was a real product. Well, so they voted in the Senate. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they voted in the Senate. So I mean, it's presumably going to pass. I don't know if there's going to be.
If I were Disney, I would announce that we're planning on opening a park somewhere in the middle of America.
Yeah, I mean,
I would imagine the middle of America would love that.
Yeah,
because if you didn't have to let's say you were in Utah or Wyoming, Montana, and let's say it was in Colorado, there's 6-7 surrounding states that could easily drive in. It would be highly successful.
But
Like,
But you can put it anywhere; it'd be fine.
Yeah.
So people forget that Orlando became Orlando because of Disney. Disney didn't put Disney in Orlando. Disney bought up a bunch of swampland, and then Orlando became an actual city because Disney did its thing. But yeah, I mean, like if I were Disney, I'd be like, yeah, look, we see the writing on the wall. You got this is how you want to run your state. We're going to wind down our operations.
You're and with your policies of disastrous environmental policies, you're just going to sink the state quicker. So
right, so we're going to go to Poughkeepsie. It's the new Disney.
Upstate New York.
Yeah, New Rochelle,
Pennsylvania. Like
Harrisburg. That's our new.
Like they can go wherever the fuck they want.
Yeah, and then open up. You can open up. Kid Rock can do his own theme park there. You know, based off of Coors Light or something. I don't know.
Let's go, Brandon, the theme park. A joke that no one will care about in like a month.
Right.
Or no one even cares about it now.
That's I don't know. It would be interesting to see if like there have been to know if there have been discussions at Disney basically prior to this that have been centered around like, hey, what are we going to do when there's like a hurricane every 3 weeks? Like, should we,
as opposed to every 4 weeks?
Well, yeah. I mean, now, you know, there were years where you didn't get a hurricane.
I know.
But like
that's Central Florida. If anything, they just get like really bad rainstorms.
Yeah, yeah, but like the problem is people, even if Orlando doesn't get hit, you still can't fly into Florida if there's a hurricane. Like,
yeah, I know. That's the other thing too. I always love when people post on like TikTok. I say like excited to go to Florida to Disney World, and they're there and it's just raining the entire time. You're like,
it's miserable when it rains. Like,
I can imagine.
Well, it's like this hot, sticky rain, and Disney's like basically all it's beautiful, but it's like all concrete and there's lines everywhere, and it's just like fucking
and all these people around, so you get all the body heat on top of the armpit that you're already in. You know what? Like I said, Ron DeSantis is a fucking idiot. I don't know what their end game is.
Right.
I don't get it. This fucking guy wants to run for president. Like,
I mean, like,
what's your messaging? I hate things you like.
I ruin fun.
I'm not a fan of the big company of Disney themselves for reasons not the same of whatever the fuck they woke or that. I'm like, Disney's the least woke company in the world. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. They're a huge conglomerate that just buys up everything. I mean, like the joke was with Sony. At some point, they're just gonna buy Sony.
Right.
And then you won't have to worry about Morbius 3 coming out anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they're just going to buy them at some point. They're Disney, you know, Sony's going to fuck up, and then Marvel's just going to be like, we're going to put an offer and we're going to buy your movie studio. And Sony will be like, thank you.
Wow.
Well, like, I just don't understand I don't understand the game. But and I think it's hysterical because it is literally all because of that don't say gay bill.
A relatively mild comment, and Disney didn't even come out and say like we adamantly.
If anything, they got shit because they didn't.
It was just a milquetoast little. We don't agree, and then that's it. That's what set Ron off.
Loses his mind, and then they make all this groomer shit. They say like, did you see that shirt that they sell? All the right wingers sell. It's a Disney logo.
Oh, I have seen it. Yeah,
groomer on it instead. And it's like, wait, who's wearing this shirt? You are.
Joke.
So you're basically the person wearing the shirt is like, I'm a groomer.
I don't know. Look, this has always bugged me. Like, Disney should sue. Disney should sue Ted Cruz and say, like, look, you said we're making pornography, and we don't, and we want you to retract that.
Tell me where we're suing. Tell me where we're making porn.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz.
Or just get them in, just do what they're going to do to Marjorie Taylor Greene on Friday. Just drag them into court and film it.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
You said that we make pornography, do we?
Ted Cruz would be like, listen,
no.
I made a dumb joke. Can I go, please? No, you can't go.
Our stock, Disney stock went down 15% over the last couple of weeks. Our stock, people lost millions of dollars because of your dumb joke. We'd like that back.
We didn't think it was funny.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like, that's these fucking people. I mean, like, Trump sues everyone constantly.
It'd be really funny to watch Ted Cruz get sued by Disney.
Yeah, just sue him. That's it. Yeah. I mean, like, sue all of these people.
Sue DeSantis.
Yeah. So
they can sue him, right?
yeah.
He's not a dictator. He's a term limited politician.
So it's crazy that that's not happening. I don't know
I'm
why
sure there's something in the works. Disney sues everything. This was like, I will say this. Last, one of the funniest things though, and the joke is, I don't understand what these people's end game is, because conservatives like Disney too.
Oh yeah,
they do.
Everyone loves Disney.
Yeah, like
Disney used to be thought of as a fairly conservative place, frankly.
Yeah. Kind of was, until they bought everything and realized they can't just be this, like,
right.
They bought all these properties, like they own the Simpsons. Simpsons is not conservative.
Right.
I've heard arguments of people say that. It's not. Get the fuck out of here. But Jack Posobiec, Russian secret agent and Nazi piece of shit, was one of the biggest pushers of the groomer thing on Twitter. Like, if you look at it, like, there's like, I don't do this research, but I know people who actually do this because they do this for a living. And they tweeted about like how many bots are involved with him and all this stuff, and pushing the whole groomer thing online and getting it out there. How much he and involving bots and stuff, and it's all part of whatever he works for, this Pozobiak guy. But the joke was, the other day, I don't know if it was his account or his wife's account, tweeted, and I thought it was a joke, like it was from a couple years ago. It wasn't. It was literally like the day after he tweeted about the groomer thing, and it's him, his wife, and kid happy as fuck at Disney. And I'm just like, the fuck, like it's a sick personality of somebody who's like, well, I just do that for a living.
Yeah.
What I do at the office, when I do at home, are two totally different things.
Right.
Like, if I saw him at Disney World, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
These people are fucking, and it's a joke too, because these people, like, they just decided to make Disney the enemy this week.
Yeah. It's so thoughtless. It's not like a thought out. Yeah.
So that's why I kind of hope Disney sues, because these guys do this frivolous shit all the time, this thoughtless stuff, like the thing with Ted Cruz, this thoughtless shit where they just say whatever they want to get little, like, retweets from right-wing chuds and stuff like that, and be in the conversation, and get even people on the left to, like, talk about what a dick Ted Cruz is. And it'd be funny if in the result he got sued because he's making accusations against a company producing products that they're not producing.
Yeah.
They'll be like, wait, how did they know we were making Pluto fucks Mickey? That wasn't supposed to come out till 2024.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this will play out over the next week or two, and it'll be interesting to see.
And then either nothing happens and it'll just go away, or it'll be really funny. Yeah,
well, something will happen because they're putting things through votes, and that's something. So
I just think it's so weird. It's like, why would I mean, like, if a state was like Florida was like, we're going to kick oranges out of Florida.
That's honestly, it's the exact same
Texas thing. Was like, we're going to kick Dr. Pepper out of Texas.
Right. We don't want oil companies here anymore.
We don't want football anymore. or DQ.
Right. Yeah. It would be like if the state of Kentucky all of a sudden banned sheep fuckers,
Their main import export. Sheep fucking.
Right. I mean,
what are you doing? That's our main import export. You can't mess with that. Right. They didn't go with my "don't say bad."
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of analogies you can make, but
so many.
Right. Well, speaking of something that's going to unfold over the next few weeks, a Trump-appointed judge, one who's called unqualified by the American Bar Association, decided the other night that she was going to rescind all mask mandates on all transportation. Just got it in her head one day, and there's no hearing, she just decided it.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, it has to be.
Well, someone brought it to the court, but she said, I don't even need a hearing for this one. I'm getting rid of. And this is like an old Federalist Society, Clarence Thomas intern appointee.
Yeah, she never even like was a judge supposedly.
Nope. And they installed her as a federal judge after Trump lost the election.
So basically, because of that, well, some of the heads of airplane, like CEOs, have been lobbying hard and saying we don't want masks on planes anymore.
Yeah. Well, they look, that's like 90% of the headaches they face is chuds bitching about masks.
Get another fucking, hire another fucking.
I'm just saying that's why.
What do you call it? No, but what do you call it? Get another fucking air marshal on the plane.
Yeah.
I mean, like, pull a fucking gun on this assholes. Like,
well, yeah, this is easy enough to fix.
Them. Like,
just put them on a no-fly forever.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Thank you. You're never going to be flying again, buddy. Have fun.
A lot of pilots announced this mid-flight, and you had
not even like 10 minutes. So one of them was like literally, it was like a JetBlue thing. It was like literally 10 minutes into the air, and the pilot announces, "Oh, you don't have to wear a mask anymore." Everyone was cheering, and there was like this one woman was talking about how like she had her 10-month-old kid. Yep. And it's like, I can't get this kid vaccinated, obviously. And
you can't get a kid to wear a mask.
You heard people coughing and they're not wearing masks. And you're just like, it's like, okay, we don't need masks anymore on the plane. Why can't, then can we only have 4 ounces of liquid on the plane? Why can't we have back to 12? Why don't we have to take our shoes off in the airplane anymore?
Well, now with this, all that's true. With this, the Biden administration said at first, well, we'll only appeal this if the CDC asks us to. And my thought was like, you should appeal it, period, just based on the premise that like this is our call to make, not a judge's call to make.
Well, I think it's good because from a political standpoint, he could be like, call the CDC and be like, yeah, you better fucking announce it. But as long as it doesn't come out of his mouth, then it's like, they can't just be like, Biden wants you to wear a mask. Biden, let's go. Brandon wants you to wear a mask, you know?
It's weird because I knew like they're eventually going to get rid of the mask mandate on planes. That was going to happen.
But it's like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
well,
of course.
They should just, my thought was that that once they figured out that's going to be the case, they should phase that in. You know, obviously it shouldn't be done in mid-flight. It should be done like, look, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing to keep things safe. It's beginning in 6 months or 4 months or whenever, we're going to phase in mask optional flights starting on like August 30th or whatever. Then you have time to prepare. You're not like scrambling to make arrangements or whatever.
Yeah.
And they could have been done really well. They could have been like, look, this is the new filtration system we're using. We still take a little extra time between flights to wipe things down or so. I mean, like, just make,
but some fucking guy coughing 2 feet away from the entire flight isn't going to help.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, like,
they could wipe the shit down and spray aerosol, whatever. You still have that fucking guy coughing unmasked.
I agree, but like,
I mean, the reality is that I think the pilot's doing that is really stupid. I think if you go on a plane, you should be notified and told, like, hey, listen, you don't have to wear a mask anymore.
Yeah.
On this plane, not mid-flight.
Right.
It'd be like, hey, guess what? We don't have to wear pants anymore.
Yeah. Everyone's whipping their dick out right in mid-flight.
Like, what the fuck? I didn't like. Right? This isn't a joke. I
was kind of anticipating a dick-free flight. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I did not expect all the penises out, but I'm sorry, but like, this is. I know that was fucked up. It should have been, as a customer who paid on a plane to feel safe, especially still in the pandemic. There's still variants out there every fucking day. You hear about a new one, and I mean, like, I get it. I knew at some point they would phase them out, but like this woman doing it, this judge.
Well, they had just like a week ago said we're extending it to like by 2 months or something. It wasn't like they're saying like the CDC and I don't know. It just seemed real clear to me like 2 more months. That was published. People knew about it. if you wanted to make your flights accordingly, that was fine. But then this like fucking idiot judge in Florida, I don't know. It's funny too because Marjorie Taylor
Can't do that on
Greene,
her own. You know
no,
that.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, the earlier that day was talking about how she was so opposed to judges making rules. And then like 2 hours later, this judge does this and she's all thrilled. You know,
it's rules that she likes.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
I mean, that's how it works. It's the rules.
Well, the Department of Justice is appealing it. And I'd imagine that they'll go to court. I have to imagine it'll be upheld. Look, that they get to do all sorts of stuff, you know, on planes. So we'll see. I mean, like, I can't imagine that they're saying the federal government doesn't have the authority to do stuff like that. Yeah. Of course they do.
Well, you said that. What did the CDC say?
The CDC asked the DOJ to appeal, and the DOJ did.
I think it's, again, I'm more annoyed at the CEOs of these plane flights, these airplane companies that were like, because again, it's like, wait, here's an actual thing where million Americans died, and not just Americans, but worldwide. You're an airplane, you bring people from other countries in there too. Here's a thing that, and the best way to spread a virus is to literally fly someone in from one area to another area. So let's just say, like, yeah, this state has better COVID than the other state, but now the planes don't need masks. So, and this guy, Bob, who doesn't wear a mask anymore, is traveling on the plane. He's got COVID, and now he gets to bring it into the state. Yeah. You know,
well, that was always the problem with everything, is that if you live anywhere near an interstate or where people drive or fly or whatever, then all the laws are only as good as the most compliant chud. You know, they're only as good as like everyone lets them be, because people fly all the time with COVID. You know, they hide their tests. They don't fucking care.
Fake
they
vaccine,
don't fucking care.
assholes and go out there. That's insane. That's mind-blowing. It's like, you've been tricked by so many memes, you moron, that you paid some scam artist $300,000-$400,000, if not more, for a fake vaccine card, when you could have just gotten the fucking vaccine for free.
Right.
Oh, they would put the chip in there.
Wow.
Dude, they don't give a fuck about you that much to put a chip in you.
Yeah.
They just don't want you spreading fucking ick everywhere. You disgusting animal. You fucking feed animal. You fucking sheep paste.
Yeah, it is. It's stunning. So anyway, that's another one where we're going to see over the next few days probably what pans out. My guess is that they'll let
I didn't plan on going on any planes anytime soon, did you?
No, but over the summer probably. You know, I mean, to be honest, this would have been after the mask mandate.
They would have probably
expired.
2 months, 2 weeks, 2 months. Yeah.
My guess is that I'll be on a plane over the summer and I'll wear a mask, and that'll be that.
Oh, I would wear one definitely on an airplane.
Yeah, on an airplane for sure. So we'll see.
Except when I'm necking strangers.
Right. Yeah, or when I'm singing gospel songs with my guitar.
Oh God, that. Okay, real quick, we didn't have that on the list, but since we're talking about planes, there was a video that went around of like this guy playing the guitar and all these people singing Christian songs. Now, someone said though that was a chartered flight and not a commercial flight.
Yeah, if it is, I mean, like, that's fine, but it didn't look like a chartered flight. It looked like multiple people around there did not want any part of it.
Guy, that one bald dude, his face was like, why is this happening to me?
He just looked like he was like desperately scanning the landscape for a parachute. You know, I mean,
I would have started singing "Shout the Devil."
Yeah, it is. I don't know. It's
like, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. And of course, there'd be like a couple of dipshits that are like, yeah, this is great. This is great. I love this.
Yeah.
This is great. And I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Oh, I would probably just bury my head and be like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Videotape it. Put it on my.
Well, the next thing we got
put on my TikTok. He's the girl voice. This was on my flight. This was on my flight. Or that, oh no, oh
yeah,
no,
oh
oh
no,
no,
oh
oh
no.
no, oh no.
All right, so
Get abused.
the Abbott border stuff.
Speaking of another Republican
Yeah,
clown,
that's kind of come and gone, I guess. Like he started this kerfluffle at the border, asking for extra checks and stuff, and then a whole bunch of food rotted and trucks didn't get through, and then he kind of gave up on
was
it.
it like $250 million worth of groceries?
It was a lot of groceries.
Yep. So they said that this could, well, if it kept on going, it would eventually just affect the entire country.
Yeah.
But I think it'll affect mostly Texas at this point. Have you seen any dip in groceries where you are? They said that it wasn't going to be right away, but like a week or two, it would have been like noticeable.
I haven't, but I will say over the last couple of years, ever since the coronavirus hit, there has been a noticeable shift in things that are available. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't happen. But like, I've gone like to places and looked for like,
notice it more now. Like I'll go to the store and they just don't have something. Like there'll be like less boxes of pasta, there'll be less boxes, less water. And I noticed that more in Texas than here. Well, I'm like, I'm always like wondering if it was always like that because of COVID and because of the extreme empty shelves at that time, that we just notice it more now.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I've not had any trouble finding anything for a while. I have gone on my daughter drinks skim milk. On occasion, I'll go to get like
milk.
I'll go to get that and they won't have it. And
milk. Skim milk is milk.
Well, my wife and I don't drink milk, but my kid likes skim milk. And
what is that? It's like
just milk with all this cream skimmed off of it. Yeah.
Buttermilk.
Yeah, it's blue.
White water.
Well, I don't know. It is interesting because this is kind of where I was going with this to include it. It does kind of dovetail with the DeSantis stuff in that there is this weird trend of Republican governors fucking with private business, which is kind of a new thing for them.
Like all these, like, it's weird too because it's like he's fucking with like produce and all, and these are probably a lot of these companies probably contribute usually mostly to the Republican Party.
Yeah, but like no,
like they'll be like, I mean, like they'll be like, you know what? We're not really a big fan of the Democrats, but you know what? They're also not gonna. Beto is not gonna do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
right now, I'd be on the phone with Abbott. If I was with one of these companies, I'd just be like, you know what? Prepare yourself to be in your lame duck session now because you've won.
It just doesn't make sense.
We're not gonna give you any donations anymore.
It's clearly a publicity stunt. It's not going to solve anything.
All it did was hurt people.
It just hurt people. It hurt a bunch of different kinds of people.
So that he can try to claim that Biden's the cause. And it was like, I think a lot of it got out there. I guess he hoped that he'd get away with it. And eventually,
I don't know what he hoped. I mean,
after a couple of weeks and empty shelves, and they could be like, look, it's all Biden's fault. And then you'd find out that after the damage was done, that it was because. Yeah. And then he had to like plead with these like these Mexican governors or something. It was like so bizarre. It's like, dude, this is all you, asshole.
Yeah, it was just weird. And this one was like, it didn't go anywhere, and it didn't. I don't think this one helped him any. But I think that's what Republicans do: is they keep doing stuff like this over and over again, hoping that one of them will hit. One of them will be the thing that helps. You know,
he did that while at the same time like bringing migrants into DC for some bullshit, like again,
weird
wasting resources from Texas.
Yeah,
that guy sucks.
He does.
Like that. Beto should just bring that up now. You know, it's like the power grid thing was like a big thing.
Yep.
But now this thing with the food and everything, that should just be brought up. That should be like that was.
I think that they better get their TV money ready because I don't think any Republicans anywhere are going to debate anything.
No, they ain't going to debate.
Yeah.
Herschel Walker, we talked about him last week. How he didn't show up to debate at the Republican primary. And damn hell ain't going to. He pretty much dropped hints that he was not going to debate Warnock. And the Republicans the other day, I don't know if we talked about last week. It might have been after the podcast we was recorded.
Yeah, they just got rid. They're not going to participate in any presidential debates.
That's insane. And all they do is make up this accusation and say, oh,
they're not. Yeah, they said they have a liberal bias.
it's
Okay.
like they're just asking you questions, assholes. You don't want to be held accountable for anything.
Yeah.
Like I said, they have enough right-wing media that they can sink into their bubble, and their voters don't give a shit.
Yeah.
They train their voters to not care. I think it's insane. I cannot believe there won't be a presidential debate.
Well, it could still happen. You know, I mean, like they could still agree to it.
They'll do what Trump did, where like all the networks played like Biden's town hall, and then NBC played Trump's stupid town hall.
I don't know,
because that's probably what would happen. And then you just have this competing. They suck. I still am amazed by the thing with Abbott. That I hope that backfires, but it seems like I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know about I don't know about your state.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, like a lot of them, they don't. If you have won and you're an incumbent and you have enough people voting for you, it's not going to change. That I don't see the Democratic challenger getting Marjorie Taylor Greene out of office.
No.
Or Madison Cawthorn or Lauren Boebert or. I mean, Beto's got a shot against Greg Abbott, but
the Boebert thing, I think there's a chance because she was like redistricted a bit. Like they did once. Did you see that one guy running though? That dude who's running against her?
Yeah.
Democrat?
Yeah.
He's like this gay guy who put out this horrible cringe TikTok where all he's doing is attacking Bernie. Yeah. It's like the weirdest thing. I was like, dude, who are you trying to appeal to?
I read an article about that. They're talking about people hoping that just like any publicity is good publicity. But
I mean, you're going against Boebert. I feel like at that point, do you have to look good?
No, honestly, you should just run ads where you like show a clip of her saying something stupid, and then you do a sad trombone noise, and you have a cartoon voice be like, Boebert. Yeah, you know.
Boebert.
Right. And then you just do that over and over again. Boebert. And then you just like play clips of like ordinary citizens like calling her an idiot and a dummy and all that.
Oh man, pull the Boebert.
Yeah, right.
That'd be good. Just turn her name into like her name kind of sounds like Boner.
Yeah, it's real easy. Then you make jokes about her husband exposing himself to minors and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what? Our candidate may have done this, this, and this, but you know what our candidate didn't do?
Yeah.
Expose his dick to minors.
Didn't pull his dick out of the bowling alley, try to show it to a 15-year-old girl like Boebert's husband. Yeah. They should just do like a whole bunch of like, what is it? Cletus the slack-jawed yokel. They should just run a series of clips where they basically put Boebert and her husband in those Cletus the slack-jawed yokel skits. They should do
gross-ups of her, like Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Or like that old son, it's like right. And you see like moles with hair and boogers in the nose, and it's like really detailed.
Well, I guess we were going to talk about Elon Musk next, but we could talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene because it's kind of in that same.
Yeah, we could talk about that first, since that kind of that they are one and the same.
Yeah, these citizens in Georgia brought a lawsuit against Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think it's the 14th Amendment that basically says it was a post-Civil War amendment that said basically if you committed sedition against the U.S. government, you couldn't run for office.
She did.
Right. And that's what their claim is. And the judge said, okay, let's hear what you got. And so I guess Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe she didn't take it seriously enough, or anyway, she's got to go to court Friday.
She didn't take it seriously.
Yeah, she's got to go to court Friday. She asked the judge to dismiss it, and the judge is like, you didn't bring any legal arguments for me to this. I can't. You just said I don't want to. That's not a legal case.
Isn't that enough?
So now she's got to be deposed. They're going to film it. It's going to be open to the public on Friday, where they ask her questions under oath.
I bet she doesn't show up.
That's contempt. I mean, this isn't. I don't think.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen to her?
I don't know.
If she doesn't show up. I mean, I feel like these people don't face any consequences.
Well, if she does,
in a lawless society.
It sucks because she either A, has to distance herself from the January 6th people and call them idiots or or B, she has to tell the truth. if she gets caught lying, that's perjury. That's a big deal.
And
So
what if she doesn't, and all she does is attack Nancy Pelosi and call the Democrats pedophiles the entire time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would depend on the judge. But look, if this is going to get filmed, I mean, I don't think there's.
You think this woman gives a shit about any? I mean, like there's so much footage of this woman being a dumb, horrible ghoul.
Well, that's the other thing is that she's not very bright, so I don't know if she's cognizant of the fact that like some of these judges, they don't fuck around. They don't want a performance in their courtroom.
If you say she goes there, she answers the question, like you said, she's gonna have to try to distance herself, or she's gonna have to admit to it.
Well, I mean, they can ask real basic questions like, well, or she could plead the fifth like a whole bunch of times.
That's probably what will happen.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem with that is the way that statute was written is that might disqualify her from running for office.
That would be awesome.
Because she has to, if it's the same as North Carolina, she has to prove that she didn't do this, like there's enough evidence.
I guess if you just keep pleading the fifth, you're like basically saying you're guilty and you're not resolving the situation, or you're just trying to get out of it, right?
And you can't hold it against someone. I forget the phrase for it. You can't hold it against someone in a criminal court, but you can in a civil court. This is a civil case. She's not at risk to go to jail for this. She's just at risk for not being able to run again.
Well, that's a big deal for her because
right.
She loses all her stock if she's not a sitting. And then what's she gonna do? Complain? I think I could just see her doing, if she does do it, I just don't believe she'll show up. I could see her trying to plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Kind of funny, like you said, like maybe like you can't. You can, but it doesn't end here, man. Like,
well, I am so anxious. That's kind of what I'm really looking forward to is Friday, seeing what happens with this.
I just feel like she'll just go on. She'll just say the Democrats are all pedophiles.
We don't have to wait long to find out. We don't.
No, we don't. I just don't believe it's going to happen. I if it does, let me know. I definitely hope that it does happen.
Yeah.
She's a horrible ghoul. And
she is a troll.
She's an
actual troll.
She's a literal troll.
Yeah.
Like I'm not one to make fun of people's appearances. I've never done that before.
Right. Yeah.
Never.
Me neither.
But just this time, I'm gonna have to say something bad.
Mm-hmm.
She's a troll.
She's a troll.
She's a hideous, heinous troll. Not like Bobert.
No.
Who looks like a Ren and Stimpy gross up.
Right.
Bobert. All right. Do that. Whoever runs against her needs to like take her name. It's really confused. Bobert. Dude, I will say this. I hope in this next election that those three fucking clowns are removed from office, and if not because they lost an election, but because of some fucking legal shit.
Yeah,
and that's in court though, and they were trying to vote him. They were trying to do that same thing, right?
I think that's still going through the system. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene just happened to come up first. So
I think him though, they were able to come up with some bullshit to get him out of it.
Oh, I'd have to look. Honestly, I've kind of lost track of him, but
we have busy at the punching trees and going to the GOP fuck parties.
At the tree, going to the tree gym after the fuck party.
The tree gym.
All right, so we got one last thing. It's a quick thing. Elon Musk's attempt to buy Twitter has just sort of vanished into the ether, much like an NFT.
Well, so last week we talked about how he bought the 10%, which gave him like the highest stake in Twitter, but it wasn't a majority. But all the right wing was having a dance, and they were like, "Oh my God, he's gonna bring free speech back, and he's gonna bring the edit button back. He's gonna do this." And then, like, he was supposed to go on the board.
Yep.
And then we talked about how this was last Wednesday, and literally the next day, Thursday, after we recorded it, it was announced that he made an offer for like $43 billion to just straight up buy Twitter.
Right.
I guess there was some damage control where like 3 companies literally went in and bought like a bunch of so that he can't buy it.
And they put a poison pill in, and it made it so that if anyone acquires more than a certain percentage of Twitter, then they're going to release a whole bunch of new stock at a preferred rate and like flood the market with shares to dilute everyone's value, which is why they call it a poison pill. Everyone gets fucked. But it's basically like, if you try to buy us, Elon, we are going to light ourselves on fire.
Yeah.
So
the monk.
we will lose everything just so you get nothing. Like this.
I mean, like, first of all, people like, okay, this asshole claims he doesn't have this money ever. That all his sycophants that defend him and love him claim that he doesn't really have any of this money and that it's all like stocks or it's like not liquid. And then all of a sudden, this asshole now has like $42 billion to blow on a social media platform, and so that's already bullshit.
It's all suspect.
Yeah. I mean, they said that this motherfucker's just trying to fuck with the market anyway. That's all he does ever.
Yeah.
You know, this was probably another thing, and it gets him in the news and the right.
Yep.
Well, I posted this artwork, and let me tell you, I believe, and I don't know if I said it on the last podcast, but I believe, you know, we were like wondering who the next Trump is going to be.
Yeah. You brought this up. Yeah.
And that I believe that the person who is the new Trump or the replacement for Trump, because Trump's not allowed on Twitter anymore, is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Elon Musk attracts the same kind of trolls that defend him. The right wing loves him. He loves to troll on Twitter, just like
same
Trump
dynamic.
did.
Yep.
It's almost like literally the same dynamic. It's really bizarre. This guy makes false promises all the time, claims products that never come out, trips to Mars. Never. What happened to that? So, man, I posted I had that artwork of him as a dick.
Right.
Literal dick and uncircumcised dick. I'm assuming uncircumcised.
Sure.
I would imagine. Yeah. Just imagine that Pluto having sex with Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
While Mickey Mouse and Elon Musk watch.
Go
Go to town, Pluto.
Get some.
What? Come get some?
Yeah.
Oh, like he doesn't talk, Pluto, right? He's dumb, right? Goofy's one that talks.
Whatever.
That'd be great though. But in Ted Cruz's version, Pluto talks.
Sounds
like someone wrote free speech on the way. Like these people like think that he like this billionaire is going to be the vessel for free speech. He's like, his main goal is to buy up a platform to do God knows what with it.
Yeah.
Just to fuck around. Like, it's like, what are you gonna do with it? You're either gonna fucking completely ruin it, destroy it. What are you gonna do? You're gonna let a bunch of creeps back on? You're gonna let Trump back on? Like, you're just gonna make it like disgusting and people aren't gonna want to use it anymore regardless. So, like, yeah, I'm glad they did the poison pill thing, because at the end of the day, he would probably just fucking destroy it. And then here's the funny part. He said that he was gonna bring the edit button back. And for years I've been like, oh, I wish they had an edit button. And you're like, oh fuck. But you can always go back and delete it, I mean, especially us, we tweet something, we'll get like 10 likes.
Right.
Celebrities and politicians, they tweet something, and if it's on there for even just 30 seconds, they're fucked. Like, now the problem with the edit button, someone brought this up, is that there's a lot of damage that can be done with an edit button. It, like, people, let's say someone tweets something and then they get thousands of retweets. They could go back to that tweet and they could like alter it so all the people who retweeted it and tweeting some Nazi shit. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, there's so much damage that you could do with an edit button. You can, like, a politician should not be able to have that power. They can go in like records and say, hey, Bober could be like, I never said it's 1776, and I never said Nancy Pelosi, even though it's all screenshotted. Like, tons, they exist, but she could claim it,
Right.
The funny thing though, it shows you that Elon Musk put zero thought into it. Because he was interviewed in a recent interview. I saw someone post this. He's asked about the edit button, and they asked him, what would you do? And the guy even brought up the whole thing about like,
Yeah.
And his idea was like you would have like a window for like,
Right. I read this article, I think.
But the joke is it literally sounded exactly like what you can do right now with Twitter anyway.
Yeah.
Which is literally just delete your tweet
and then retweet
it and then tweet it again with the hopefully fixed punctuation. So it was just kind of funny, this so-called genius and guy who creates everything has been talking about this edit button, and then when he was actually asked a very simple question, he had literally no answer.
Yeah, it would basically get rid of all the tweets, retweets, likes, all that, reset everything. You're right. Functionally, it would be the exact same as deleting the tweet and retweeting it.
Right.
No
so
different.
It's like, this guy is just a clown. But man, I'm telling you, all these people, man, there's so many trolls. I could not believe. And then like today, I made the mistake of I said, what was it? Rick and Morty posted, I guess Elon Musk, I forgot that Elon Musk showed up in an episode of Rick and Morty one time, a couple of seasons ago.
Oh yeah, okay.
He played Elon Tusk. It was so stupid. But they posted it today on their thing. And all I wrote was, way to ruin a show. Oh, how to ruin a show. That's all I wrote. How to ruin a show. And my God, I got,
oh yeah, people get real hurt.
Hater. Yeah. You are this. And this one guy who claims he followed me in the past. You are filled with hate. And I'm like, literally all I said was, how to ruin a show. That's it. It is insane.
Yeah, and you're right. That is another kind of Trump parallel. The people that like him think he can do no wrong. They just.
I think a lot of it's bots. They said that. There's a lot of bots involved with him.
I believe it.
I mean, there's all these like weird private accounts with weird syntax. Like that one guy though, free speech coming right up. What are you talking about? Like, Like, did you not have free speech now? What do you think?
Yeah, A lot of the people being silenced talk a whole bunch.
Yeah, the people who are being silent, like, here's a guy, right when you're putting out a book about being silent. I won't be silent anymore.
Right.
You can't silence me. And he goes on every single radio show, every single blog that will have him on, every single talk show, even non-political ones have him on. So he can spread his message about being silent. And it's like, I wish someone would just say to that person, hey, you're talking right now.
Yeah. When were you silenced?
Were you silent on the other 10 shows he did today?
Yeah.
And the book that you're selling? Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, that was a big one.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a lot of the pop culture stuff in the beginning, but it was a good one.
Yeah, you prefer that, don't you? You don't want to talk about.
No, I like a good mix.
Well, it's funny because pop culture stuff we talked about has well, I don't know about Moon Knight, but
probably not Moon Knight, but most
from
of
All
the
Mankind and
the Dropout.
I mean, that shit's all.
A lot of that's
and the Batman, which is woke.
Yeah, a lot of that's got a lot of political parallels. So it's good. Yeah.
All right. Well, good times. On that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.